Win.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Critical Critique. Pause on pointer.
Still never nowhere mentioned.
No one mentioned, but I'm gonna keep saying it because it's what I remember. So yes, today we are we're back again. We got a shorter video this time around that I came across. And I watched all of it because it was like I said, smaller video, so we should be able to cover it relatively quick. We're gonna stick with the same kind of format we've been having for a little bit. Oh look, we've got people in the chat already, so that's the Critical Critique is here and real. Yes, we are real.
I've upped the quality of the stream so much so that YouTube is complaining about it.
You might have, yeah. I don't. might have to knock the bitrate down just a little.
Yeah, but I can't change the bitrate midstream. And I have a fancy new thing where some noise suppression where you can't hear my claps.
Hey,
if it's correct, going right.
Nice.
Oh,
nice.
It does work on the mic. Never mind.
Ellie getting all professional.
It doesn't pick up my keyboard and clicks. That's very helpful.
Yeah. So we haven't really. We've been kind of still working on the update to the channel. I know Ellie, you've been busy. We've got a Moe Shroom. Hello, been watching your videos for a while, but I'm stopping in for the stream for the first time. Awesome! I'm glad I could be your first time.
And remember, all this is to build up to get monetization and super chat, so we can give Nretsew a Switch.
One day I'm gonna get a Switch. I'm gonna get a Nintendo Switch from the channel. That's the goal. It's a meme, guys. Don't worry about it. We're not. Ellie, you're gonna have to be careful with that because you've seen VTubers. You know what happens when you say shit like that if it actually happens.
Don't worry, I'll give you a Switch. Don't worry about it.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the money will give you the Switch at least.
But anyway, yeah. So we've been slowly working on the retool. We've got fancy stuff. Ellie, as was mentioning before, he's done some fancy stuff with his audio setup. He doesn't have to have the nest of cables. He's got the nest of what do we describe it as, like tunnels or something? It was like,
yeah, I mentioned the spider web of virtual audio cables.
Yeah, so it's a lot simpler for him now. I'm gonna have to set that up on my end at some point, so I could do the streaming side of things myself if we wanted to do solo stuff. So yeah, I guess we'll switch right into the video because that's we don't really have any other channel news right now.
Maybe just a general. If you have a video you want us to cover, put it on one of the community posts, and we'll watch it. We'll check it out.
Yeah,
of course,
we'll give it a look.
Not every video is super suited. This PAX guy, I believe Samu recommended it. This PAX guy, very interesting. But it
is interesting, but we gotta be, like I mentioned in the last couple of streams, I want to be prepared for that, because that's gonna be a.
Oh, he had a very funny. I checked another video of him out. One of the very. What was it again, Nretsew?
It was like Moe. Why people like Moe or something?
Like why people like anime girls. And it's basically just a big. You should be Christian, and Japan is the last bastion of, monogam, men and female traditional role models, blah blah blah.
Anime is promoting Christianity somehow, something.
It's all very selective.
Yeah. But we're pretty open to most things. So if you just pop stuff in the community posts when they come up, we'll try and give them a look.
Or an old one. I mean, it's not like it's...
or an old one, Ellie will keep an eye.
It's not we got thousands of reactions and posts on them, so I'll see them anyway.
Yeah. Anyway. Alright, so this guy was actually... I came across this video because Ellie posted another video by him, which was isekai related, which we might cover at a later date. We might get around to it sometime, because it's like a 2-video thing, because he did his video and then he had to correct himself in another video, so we'll look into that. But I came across this one and I thought, this might be a good one to kind of cover, just because the first half is kind of interesting. So yeah, I guess we might as well just jump on right into it.
Yep.
Also, it's raining where I'm at. So.
Sorry, 1 second. Can you pause? It does something weird. This is... Oh no. There we go. Yes, can you start from the beginning? I had the audio muted for the...
Uh-oh. Yeah, it looks like thunderstorm time, maybe, where I'm at, so be prepared for
does it actually go out in thunderstorm?
Well, we'll see what happens. If you hear any you're going to get some rain ASMR if that comes through on the mic. We'll see what happens.
It's...
Starting out strong! Starting out strong!
Very good pause, Nretsew. I thought you wanted to switch.
Is fanservice a bad thing? Remember, fanservice isn't just lewd scenes. It's anything that's added just to please the fans. It's like sprinkles on donuts. It's not an integral part of it, but you still might like it.
So this is where I said that this was interesting, right? This is like, I might have to turn the volume up. Also, his audio is really weird. It's like coming through in one of my ears.
I don't have that at the moment.
Maybe it's just like, hang on, let me go back a little bit.
A finicky thing.
Yeah.
Fanservice isn't...
Yeah, maybe it's just my... Like, you're fine. You sound fine. You're coming through in both ears, but he's, like, coming through, like, more on the right than the left.
My audio, thingies, bars that go up and down are kind of almost the same.
Okay, well, I'm not going to worry about it then, because like I said, as long as you're coming through fine, it's a video problem, not a me problem. So let's listen to his point again, just so I can hear it.
Remember, fanservice isn't just lewd scenes. It's anything that's added just to please the fans. It's like sprinkles on donuts.
Okay, so fanservice is more than just lewd things. It's like sprinkles on donuts. It's anything that's in there to please the fans, which I think is it's an idea that I've seen before. I've definitely heard that argument before, but it's not very common, because when most people do talk about fan service, or at least when they're hating on fan service, 9 times out of 10 they're going to be talking about the lewd stuff, right? That's if you're on the internet and people are complaining about it, that's usually what's going to be.
I'm assuming this kind of is a FPS, right? While Skyrim is in first person view, so Skyrim is an FPS. That kind of...
If if you're doing a stealth archer build, you're shooting. So yeah.
Yeah, and so Skyrim is an FPS. That's kind of the line of argument that I'm hearing.
I think it's an interesting definition. It's an interesting definition argument, because I can kind of agree to an extent that there are things that you could consider fanservice. Like, for instance, let's say you have like a favorite character, right? You really like a certain character in a show, and they get their like moment in the sun to do the really cool thing, right? That could probably be called fan service, because that's in service of the fans of that character.
Well, in that sense, you could say that when the studio decides to really amp up that particular fight scene because the fans are a big fan of that fight scene, so you're going to give that fight scene super fancy moves and looks and rotating shots. That's service for the fans of that particular show and fight scene.
Yeah, which is why I think it's a little bit of a definitional problem, because obviously when you're arguing with people online about fan service, you're gonna be talking about the lewd stuff. But you can't, like, a lot of the time you're not gonna be directly saying that it's the lewd stuff. You're just gonna be calling it fan service.
Yeah, that's why I kind of compared it to FPS, because a lot of games are in first-person view.
But they're not all FPS, right?
No.
So then it's like, what do you call them, right? What do you
call them? If it's a Deus Ex something, then it's an immersive sim. If it's Skyrim, then it's an action RPG. You know, different. They have their own genre. If it's Metroid, then it's a kind of weird adventure game.
Type thing, yeah. All right, well, let's see what else he's got.
It's not an integral part of it, but you still might like it. So it could be a reference, a cute moment, or yes, horny bait. Just as an example, our Escher is full of JoJo references. Do they need to be there? No. Am I glad they are? Yeah. And an example of something that doesn't have fan service is most ecchi anime. I know you think I'm crazy, but stick with me so I can explain.
So now we're getting into an interesting topic, because his definition is very interesting, isn't it? So he's kind of expanded on it, and he's saying fan services can be expanded into, I mean, like I mentioned, right? Like, you had like cute moments of a character that you like, right? That's fan service according to him, right? And then you have references to other shows that you might be a fan of. That's also fan service according to him. And then now he's making the claim that ecchi anime doesn't actually have fan service in terms of his definition, which is fucking fascinating.
Well, but Nretsew, I'm going to make an analogy, right?
All right. Hit me.
Doing the heroin kills you, right? The heroin, the cocaine makes you.
The drugs kill you, right?
The drugs are going to make you kill you pretty hard. If you then say, well, and then if you then include weed into it, right?
Right.
Oh, there are a lot of more weed users than heroin users, and all those weed users don't die. So actually, drug problem isn't that there are another lot of people die from drugs. So it's kind of muddying the water and then diluting the problem. The problem of fan service.
Well, the supposed problem, the alleged problem, the alleged problem of fan service. No, the thing is I get where he's coming from, right? Like, I understand what he's saying. I kind of agree, but I also disagree for the point that you just brought up, right? Like, I agree and disagree at the same time, which is weird. Because I think he's not necessarily, or I think he's onto something. I'm just not, as Mushroom said in the chat, it's kind of pedantic, right? It's a little bit of a pedantic separation. Because when we're talking about fan service, we're going to be talking about the lewd stuff, and that's the stuff that people have a problem with. I don't think anyone would say they have necessarily a problem with, JoJo references or cute moments or things like that.
I would even kind of say that references are not fan service.
Yeah,
in my view.
Well, you could say that they're not. I'm just saying that I understand his logic, right? I get where he's coming from with that because his logic is basically people like JoJo. People are fans of JoJo. They see JoJo reference in other show. They are being served as fans of JoJo. That's his logic train, right? So I get where he's coming from. I just agree that it's to read the rest of Mushroom's comment because I think it's interesting. It seems a bit pedantic. If someone says this show has fan service and I know they mean lewd scenes, it would be stupid for me to respond as if I didn't know what they mean. Yeah, that's kind of the thing. It's one of those things where we've kind of colloquially turned the word of fan service into just meaning lewd scenes rather than this broader definition that this guy's running under.
So what? And maybe this is just immediately the conclusion of the entire video for me is that you're really muddying the waters, and it doesn't help to communicate what you mean, right? You and I and the people in the chat knows fan service, and you know what I mean with fan service. If you then suddenly start including a whole lot more references to any other anime ever made.
Cute scenes, that kind of stuff.
Cute scenes, good fight scenes, good animation on the clothing. Oh, that's for the fans. That doesn't help communicate what you want.
The lolly dance in Shield Hero we watched last week.
Well, not on stream, but yeah, we watched.
Not on stream, but we did watch that after the stream. I showed that to Ellie. It was very good. It was very good.
And so before you go into address chat, that doesn't help communicating what you are discussing, and that's the problem with modifying terms. With concepts that we already know. If you wanted to say fan service is a part of something bigger, and then use fan service to jump off into something else, that's fine. But if you but dragging everybody into fan service is the problem here.
Right. So to address what Joshua said in the chat, we're aiming to stream like once a week. Ish, so we're trying to get like one a week down, and then there might be more streams as we kind of get more set up, and we can do solo stuff more. Like Ellie might want to do so. It kind of depends, but we're aiming for once a week for the time being. It probably won't be once because I've got a thing coming up in November that I'm going to have to do.
And end of December, I'll be in Denmark, so.
Yeah, so during the holiday sort of season, we're probably not going to be doing streams as much, but then we'll probably come back around probably January, I'd say. It all kind of depends on what we're doing. For now, enjoy the once a week streams for now.
And give us what games you would like to see us play. I have a lot of games on Steam, and Nretsew only has Minecraft, so.
Apparently, I only have Minecraft. Yeah, well, I got other stuff, but I just don't know. I don't know what I'd want to play. That's the problem. So anyway, let's get into this interesting idea that ecchi anime doesn't have fan service. I'm very interested to see his justification for that. So let's hear what he has to say.
In High School of the Dead, for example, the so-called fan service wasn't something added to the story to please the fans. The whole story was built around it. So it isn't fan service, it's an essential part of it that couldn't be removed, as it's ingrained into what the essence of the show is. So when you talk about fan service, we have to make sure we are talking about something that was added to an anime, manga or whatever, that if removed, wouldn't change it in essence.
Okay.
Nah, I mean, some would predict it perfectly, and I don't agree with it.
I just find it fascinating. I find it I'm not gonna immediately dismiss it like you. I actually think the thought experiment is interesting because the idea that you wouldn't call ecchi anime fan service because it's an integral component to the shows, right? Because I mean, it's an ecchi anime, right? It's having the tits and ass is integral to the actual formula of the genre, right? I don't know. I kind of like it. kind of like
but
it. I think it's interesting.
It still runs into the problem for me in that we are using a shared understanding of what we mean by fan
it's not
service.
gonna. You're not gonna be able to. You're not gonna be able to like communicate with it. But I just think it's an interesting thought experiment. I think it's very fascinating.
Yeah, but
it's not something. It's not something I'd considered before because he's not wrong, right? He's not wrong that the stuff in ecchi anime wasn't added. See, this is where I'm going to kind of disagree with him, right? Because fucking by the fact that the author added, let's say, like a tit shot in a show, right? That's not an ecchi anime, right? Let's assume that it's just a normal shonen or whatever, and there's like some ecchi moment in the shonen, right? I know Fire Force is going to be the one everyone brings up, but I'm not going to use Fire Force because that's, again, got a specific character. I'm talking about like just a moment, not necessarily like that deliberate,
Bleach.
right?
Take Bleach.
Let's choose Bleach, right? There are moments in Bleach, like I think they even cut some out of the recent anime, like the whole one where the hand goes up in between the chick's breasts or whatever. Like the issue with saying that that's not deliberately added in is because obviously the author did deliberately add that in. It is already a part of the show, right? And I think separating that from the show is kind of doing a disservice to the author, because it's an idea that I have seen being propped up and pushed around a lot on Twitter lately. Is this idea? I think there was a thread on Dress Up Darling that I didn't save because I'm an idiot, and I need to remember to save the Twitter dramas for the Twitter drama segment, right? But there was some thread going around about Dress Up Darling where someone was trying to make the point of, well, they didn't have to add the fan service, and they should have made her a college-age student, and the sexualization and blah, blah, blah. But the actual core thing I'm talking about is that idea of the characters have agency. Why are they being forced to do this by the author, right? Which is fucking stupid. Because they don't have agency. They're fictional characters, right? So, like the only agency they have is the agency that the author gives them to direct them to do the things that they want to do in the story, right? The creator is the one puppeteering the characters, right? You can't make an argument that those ecchi moments in Dress Up Darling were forced into the show or sprinkled into the show, I guess, to use this guy's terminology, right? You can't make that argument because that's what the author intended, you know? I don't know if I'm making sense. Am I making sense, Ellie?
Yeah, I mean, I just don't really follow it in that. This all right. You know prescriptive and descriptive definitions?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Descriptive is prescriptive. Well, I'm always getting them mixed up. Prescriptive is taking the word for what it is. So, you know, round cat. If you have a round cat, it is a round cat. And descriptive is round cat can mean anything as long as we understand it to be that round cat is this thing. It's a computer program, round cat, not an actually round cat.
Yeah.
So
it's like the famous painting. This is a pipe, right?
Yeah. It's both. It was very funny in art.
Yeah. It's like, for people that don't know, because they might not. I'll explain it. So the list is, you can look it up online, but it's essentially, it was a painting by a famous painter, which is basically a very highly detailed picture of a pipe. And it has the caption, "This is a pipe." I think is it French? I can't remember if it's written.
Yeah,
in French
it's
or German.
the pipe.
Yeah, something Lee pipe, right? And the whole idea behind it is that the irony of the image is that it's not actually a pipe; it is a painting of a pipe, right? And it draws. It raises the question of what is and isn't, like, you know, it's the prescriptive, descriptive definition of what a pipe is. Right? And that was the point of the work, was to kind of raise that question in artists specifically, to be like, right, well, this is obviously a drawing of a pipe, but it's not actually a pipe, so you could theoretically call it whatever the hell you want because it's not actually a pipe, right? So it's complicated, but I would recommend looking into it because it is very interesting work. And I guess that's kind of where you're coming from here. Is so we have the descriptive and prescriptive definitions of fan service at play here, in a sense, because you have his definition, which is a very which one would it be? It would probably be, because he's trying to say that, okay, this is what it is, right? Whereas you prescribe
what it should be, or describe what it is used as.
Yeah, see, Mushroom knows what we're talking about. The
prescribe if you are forcing a definition, and describe is when you describe how it is or how it is used.
How it is. Yeah. So looping back, right, is I find this is why I like this. This is interesting, right? It's an interesting thought experiment, even though I don't necessarily think that his definition is going to go. I don't think his definition is widely adopted enough for it to be useful. It's not useful. It's not going to be useful, right, as a definition. But I think that he's tapping into some stuff that is kind of playing out right now in terms of the whole, there's a difference between something being deliberately added, there's a difference between something being a core element of a show versus something that is sprinkled in. Whereas I would argue that even in the cases where something is sprinkled in, that is still a deliberate choice from the author to do that.
Yeah.
Right? So you can't say it's not like I saw a funny tweet which was something like it was like a picture of it was basically something like me when I walk into the anime studio and I bonk the guy that has a gun pointed to the director's head that's forcing him to put fan service into the anime, and I go, "You're safe now. I have saved you from the bad man." And then the anime director pulls his pants up and goes, "Thank you. Let's go get ramen desu."
Yeah.
like that's what it feels like sometimes with people like that, right? Is they're like, they think that these anime directors and these animators and stuff, it's like they're being forced to draw the big titties and ass, right? It's like, no, that's not how it works.
Yeah, but it's not wrong in the definition or the prescriptive way of the the meanings and the letters of the word. But I would rather have it. This video, right? It's only been only less than a minute. I feel of actually watching it. But if in my mind, in my perfect vision of actually making a video, I would say, hey, we know fan service. Look at sexy anime girls and hot anime boys, etc., etc. Then we can broaden a little bit further out from, but when is something for the fans? And I'm not going to call stuff that is for the fans fan service, because that's already a thing. I would then call it something stupid like fan pandering or something.
I think Magician of D, to cap it off so we can move on, makes a good point about how, the primary purpose of a reference in his mind is to make the audience go, "Oh, cool, I recognized. I understand that reference," right? To use the Marvel meme. That's kind of the thing, right? It's fair to call it fan service. I think it's just when you're talking about fan service in the context of anime, right? I think that's when because context matters in a sense. So,
but it doesn't. This doesn't help with communicating what you want and what you mean and what you want to do with it. Because in the end, if you're going to explain what you mean first and then go deeper, then you can basically use any term that already exists for it.
Yeah.
But in wider community discussions, hanging your hat on a literal definition of fan service doesn't help any good discussion. It makes you kind of an ass, and actually, fan service means first service for the fans.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's see where he's gonna go with this then.
And so it's very contextual, but for the purpose of this video, let's consider anything that has the ecchi tag safe. After all, if you go watch an ecchi show and complain about the ecchi scenes, you only have yourself to blame.
Based! Based! I 100% agree with him here.
I only agree like 80%, but that's another...
Well, no, because if you have so many people that will be like, man, I hate fan service, tits and ass, right? I hate the anime tropes. I hate the fucking, all of that. I'm just gonna watch shows that have that in it, and I know are gonna have that in it because so many people do that. So many people do that, and they do. You see this on Twitter constantly, as you have people that will be on Twitter complaining about, this show that clearly was going to have the fan service in it has fan service in it. I am so offended. How could this happen?
A less offensive or egregious example. I think that the Warhammer 40k universe should do more with moving things forward. It's been stagnant for so long. It's always Horus Heresy, blah blah blah, Ultramarines, blah 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 blah. It should have something happening, right?
Right.
I don't own a single Warhammer 40k thing. I've never read a Warhammer 40k book.
Oh no, I'm not.
I am not the audience.
Yeah. I should probably preface in saying there's I'm not necessarily saying even though it's a dumb opinion, they can't have an opinion on it. What I'm just saying is the old comic of sharks is incredibly accurate. Where you walk up to the dock, you see the sign that says sharks in the water, and you can see the fins. They're in the water, and you're like, man, I hate sharks. And then you jump in the fucking water, right? The shark tank or something, right? And then the shark comes up to him and he's like, I really don't know what else you were expecting to happen here.
So this is why only I agree 80%.
But the thing is because your Warhammer example I think is a little bit different because you can tangentially have opinions on Warhammer based on your knowledge of Warhammer and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's not like you're going it's not like you hate Warhammer. Like you actually think Warhammer is bad and terrible and horrible, but you're still engaging with it, right?
So this is
where the difference is.
This is my 80% agree and 20% disagreement. In that all these animes, even the most fan service anime, have other things in it than fan service. Characters that you like, voice actors that you like, a setting that you like.
They probably do.
So people may watch an ecchi show for something very minute and not important to you, and they might dislike the main point, but like a secondary or tertiary point.
But my problem with that comes when those people want to, I don't know, censor the main point. You know what I mean? That's why I'm like, I get what you're saying. My disagreement is just that I think that if you, to the extent that these people hate it, it's not just, I dislike it, whatever, right? These people actively want to remove the thing that's the main core element, right? Because of that minor element that they do like. They want to fundamentally change what the thing is to be something almost completely different. And my response to that is, at that point, you might as well just go watch something else, Because
the thing
what
is,
is the point then? Like, what is the point? Like, I can understand. Oh, you might like the ecchi show because I don't know, you like the character designs, or you like, the themes or something. Like, there's maybe Dragon Maid is the best example of that, because there were so many people that got into that for the the found family themes, to quote normalities and whatnot. But then they get the fan service part of it and they lose their fucking minds, right? So I understand that. And I can understand, that type of thing. The problem is that fan service element of Dragon Maid is a core element of Dragon Maid. It's what the author wants to put in the series. It's what the author likes. The author built the show / series from the ground up to have that. So to then go, oh, I just don't want the fans. I want to censor the fan service in it. Oh, it's based that the Chinese version doesn't have the big titted dragon lady or whatever, right? That's where I'm going. At that point, you might as well try and look for something else that better fits what you want, right?
Yeah,
because
the thing is,
there's probably all right. I'll let you go. I just
right.
want to finish my rant, right? I'm just about to finish, right?
All right, go ahead.
Because to cap it off, right? There is probably in the millions and millions of series out there and stories out there is probably a story like Dragon Maid that has the same themes of found family and whatnot that doesn't have any of the lolly shota fan service or whatever in it, right? It exists. It is out there. You can go find it. So why do you specifically need to go after Dragon Maid? Right? Why do you need that?
Because I fanservice hating
Ellie, well known
Avatar.
for his hate of the
I am the avatar of Twitter that hates fanservice.
Yeah.
Because only Dragon Maid has Toru and Koyashibi have those interactions.
I would argue there's probably so.
That is the only show that you can point me. I want these interactions, and Dragon Maid has those interactions.
You don't understand. I have to watch the show that I think is PDF file stuff. You don't understand. I have to watch it.
I have to. Watch it's the only show that gives me these interactions that I want.
Yeah.
But then if we remove the parts that I don't like, there's more parts of it that I will like. It will be, everything that is remaining will be more.
Which again isn't how that works, because again it'll just fundamentally.
This is how it feels, right? If you remove the thing that
this is how it feels. This is what it's like arguing with these people. Is like, because they'll do that. They'll be like, no, it has to be. It has to, and you see, it's ironic because 9 times out of 10, it's always something that's popular. They never do this with things that are not like in the zeitgeist, right?
Yeah, but
that's why I bring up Dragon Maid, because it's the same with
People complain about the thing that's popular because most people have seen it, and most people who even don't like the main thing more people will see the secondary things that they like in.
Well, I would argue that the actual reason is because it's popular. There's a lot of trophy gathering in these kinds of people where it's like they want to own the thing that's popular, right? They want to turn the thing that's popular into something that they can use as a bludgeon to attack people they don't like and go, ha, you like the lesbian, you chud, you like the lesbian found family show, ha, you're chud.
So Nretsew, there is always value in using the popular thing to make examples of, right? You use Star Wars and not frequently asked questions about time travel when you're talking about sci-fi.
Yeah,
nice movie though. Frequently asked questions about time travel. British movie takes place in one pub. The whole movie is in one pub. Fun movie. Go watch it.
It's like I was mentioning a couple episodes ago with that essay about the mops, the geeks, and the psychopaths, right? It's you have these people that are just getting into it because it's popular and they want to be part of the conversation, and they're literally just ironic fans that don't actually like the thing for what it is. They just like that one element or something, and they want to use that one element for their own. That's when you transition from a mop to a psychopath or sociopath, because a sociopath are the ones that want to actually actively use the thing to either and I think in the essay it's about like profit, they want to use it to get profit, but you could define profit as not financial but also social, right? So they want to get clout basically, which is a big problem. So that's but getting back to the video, right? That's why I think this guy's point here is based, because if you hate fan service, like really hate it, like I'm not talking about I just dislike it, if you have criticisms of it, right? Because you can have criticisms of it, and that's okay to have criticisms of it. I'm talking about if you are to a moral level, like so anti it, like it's like a fun, like it disgusts you to your core, moral disgust level, hate fan service, and you deliberately subject yourself to that. I don't know what to tell you, you know.
Yeah,
like, I don't know what to tell you.
You don't have to tell me. I only.
No, I'm not.
I
Yeah,
agree.
No, I'm speaking to the nebulous. I'm speaking to the nebulous void of random Twitter tradcaps and feminists or whatever.
And I only
Twitter,
disagree about 20% or so. So.
Yeah. Well, no, but I get your disagreement though. I'm not devaluing it or even fully disagreeing with your disagreement. I just think that self-awareness would be nice. Is all I'm saying. You know, just be self-aware. You know. But anyway, let's keep going.
And of the way, is fan service good, bad, meh? Well, I'd say it depends on two things. Quantity, as any kind of fan service is annoying when overused, just like that friend of yours who is always making the same two JoJo's references. And most importantly, timing. And to best explain this, I will talk about a certain anime, Fairy Tail. Like High School of...
I haven't watched Fairy Tail.
I have read a bunch of Fairy Tail, but then I dropped off at some point.
Good. You will have more to say than me.
But if he's using Fairy Tail now, he will reference some things way in past what I've read.
Well, we'll see what he has to say.
The Dead, where the base appeal of the show is tits and zombies, Fairy Tail sells itself as a fantasy shonen action series. And I'm not gonna pretend it's not, it does that at a competent level. However, the one thing that led me to drop the manga twice before finally being able to finish it, you get it, it's in the title, Fanservice. Now, is all fan service in Fairy Tail bad? No. The appearance of Plu, who has no impact on the story, is in fact fan service, a reference for the fans of his former work, and I find this little guy adorable. But Fairy Tail commits the number one sin of fan service. Fan service is fine, sometimes even great, or Ashura with JoJo references, Saikano breaking the fourth wall, and I'm not even against the classic fan service beach episode, as those tend to be in their own corner, having no impact on the rest of the story.
So I kind of like this is the part, like, because we're past the halfway point now. This is where, because I mentioned to Ali before the show that, like, with this video, I think it's really interesting first half when he's going over his definitions, and then it just sort of starts to go downhill. It just sort of starts to ramble on a little bit.
Personal experiences, right?
Yeah, he's starting to, like, because now he's working off his definition, right? To say, you know, the reference to the author's past work is fan service, right? Of the author's work and stuff. So, you know, whatever. Let's go with that. And he's kind of doing I don't know if he's not doing like a Martin Bailey type thing, because I do think that he's genuine here, but like he's basically doing what a lot of people do, where they'll be like, no, you don't understand. I really like fan service. Fan service is good. But, right?
Yeah.
And that but will do a lot of heavy lifting when they're about to tell you that, you know, Fire Force is evil and should be censored or whatever. You know, like that but does a lot of heavy lifting. Oh, hang on. I gotta clear my throat a little bit. Have some more drink.
Have you ever read or watched any of Fairy Tail?
No, not specifically, but I know about it, and I know that it is very. It has a lot of fan service in the definition of, you know, normal fan service, right? It has a lot. There are a lot of I would even classify them as fetish bait, not even just like ecchi bait. Like that shit is like stuff that if you know about certain fetishes, you can probably guess what he's trying to tap into as an author there. I would yeah, I know enough about Fairy Tail to understand that one of the common criticisms of Fairy Tail is that yes, it does have a lot of ecchi moments in it. But I haven't read it personally, and I haven't watched it, so I've heard it's not bad though. I've heard good things about it. It is a very typical shonen type story though, where it's
I personally
big training, big battles, big tournament arc, big
I think I kind of dropped it when they arrived at some random island and they had another power scaling tournament fight thing to go through. Some winter island, I believe. It's been years since I read it.
To address some chats, because we've had some chats go by that we haven't really talked about. And I like talking about the chats because it's good to communicate with the boys in the chat. So we had Mushroom say
it builds that parasocial relationships, makes them
we're gonna build that parasocial relationship for you. So Mushroom says I don't like Battle Shonen, but I don't complain that Demon Slayer isn't a sibling romantic comedy I want it to be. Fair enough. Yeah, I mean that's kind of what I was doing. Yeah, that's good. I mean, that'd be an interesting reading of Demon Slayer, though. That'd be quite
the thing
fun.
is, though, go back to what people get out of a series. One example always is Gundam, right? Gundam's massive popularity with the females who watch it for the male pairings. It's naive to assume that the creators don't give them, the female readers, a little bit of the male pairing bait along the way. But it's still their own interpretation of things. But still, to say that those are wrong, goes kind of against art, how did, art's subjective, what you get out of it, etc., etc. So you can absolutely make Demon Slayer a sibling romance, or examine it from the sibling relationship if you want. There's nothing wrong with that in particular.
No. So Samu, maybe I'm just different, but when I hate something, my first response isn't to go to Twitter. That's a good point. Yeah, so something that I've kind of adopted recently is if I don't really care about something, I try not to talk about it, or at least I try not to have a take on it, because I see so many people on Twitter that'll be like, "Oh, why do people care about these things or whatever?" And it's like, even the act of doing that indicates that you obviously care about it. If you're complaining about people caring about it, you know what I mean? Like, if you really didn't care, right, you would just ignore it and you wouldn't talk about it, right? And it's the same thing with like what Samu's kind of talking about with the hating something. It's like if I drop an anime, like let's say like if I was watching an anime, I mean I don't really talk about what I'm watching on Twitter that much anyway. Like I'm really only talk about it when I'm in the cast, right? But if I was actually going to drop something, I wouldn't like go on Twitter and make like a fucking 5-tweet thread about, oh, I fucking hate, I don't know, Dr. Stone or whatever, right? To use something that I haven't watched.
I dropped Dr. Stone because it became silly and it was just another...
Yeah. It's so boring and silly and it's so I wouldn't do that, because at the end of the day, I'd rather talk about things that I actually like, rather than complain about things that I hate. So I think that's a valid point.
Yeah, I personally, if things
respond to that.
In things that I don't like, recently I've adopted more of a attitude of, well, what is interesting about that thing that I don't like?
Yeah, I think that's a good mindset. It's like, okay, I might not like this, but is there anything going on that I can talk about or is interesting to talk about?
So,
to think about,
I've mentioned before, you like Dr. Stone and you're watching Dr. Stone. I
don't mind,
I mentioned before that my problem with Dr. Stone, it's kind of that there's no conflict of ideas anymore. In the first arc there very much was. But now it's just all science progress, science for the sake of science, progress for the sake of progress.
There's no conflict of ideals and philosophy.
Yeah, and there very much is a huge room in Dr. Stone, in my opinion, for that conflict of ideas. Tsukasa's anarcho-primitivism was fake, which is very disappointing for me, because it's, something about his little sister and protecting little sister, not actually believing in the thing. An actual ideology fight with Senku against somebody who builds a civilization and does something with it, who isn't solely focused on science and the progress of science, who can fight against Senku on a somewhat equal level without that constant science for science sake. That would be interesting for me, but Dr. Stone doesn't give me that.
It's not giving you that. So Joshua comes in and says sexy bird art. I would have to remember, because look, I see so much sexy art on my Twitter. You have to be more specific. I might have seen it. I probably did when you posted it somewhere. Okay, so Samu is apparently an expert on the fairy tales. So he's coming in and he's telling us that the fan service in fairy tale is part of the humor. It falls more in line of comedy than horny bait. I've seen, that's the impression I've gotten too. And he brings up the fetish thing. Now, the reason I say that is because one of the few things I know of fairy tale is there's this one OVA, I think, that's like Christmas themed, and I think there's a character, I think it's the redhead girl, who loses like a card game or something, and she ends up walking home naked. And I'm like, that is 100% exhibitionist fetish stuff right there. That is like, that is 100%. Now, I'm not saying the entire show is like that. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that it's it's not fucking, what is it called? Serious Spies or whatever. The one that's like literally just like every episode is some kind of fetish or whatever. Like, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that there is some stuff I've seen in fairy tale from like some like clips and stuff that leads me to be like, yeah, I know what fetish that is. There's some stuff going on there, which I don't. And again, that's not a problem. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't have a problem with that at all. I'm just pointing it out.
So, Samuel, if as an expert, can you help me where I dropped Fairy Tail? I believe it had something to do with a winter island, and there was a big tower with some, sinister character on top of.
Magic of D. Totally Spies is what I'm thinking of. Like, Totally Spies is 100. Totally Spies is like a fetish primer for kids. It is literally that, because I go on the 4chans, right? And you go on like D, and you go on like the porn boards on 4chan. You'll often find threads that are like, oh, how did you get your fetish, right? What was like the moment where you realized you were into this thing? And I, like 9 times out of 10, it's going to be someone saying something like, oh, there was some cartoon that I watched as a kid and it had this moment in it that made me feel funny, right? Or something like that, right? And within that 9 out of 10, you're going to find a lot of people that are going to say it was Totally Spies. And it's going to be for stuff like inflation or bondage or damsel in distress, or one of the myriad of other things in Totally Spies that's a fetish, right? So it's but I'm not saying that's fairy tale. I'm just saying that there are moments that I've seen in fairy tale where I could go, yeah, that's probably implanted a seed in someone.
I guess I have my own, but it's a very local comics thing.
Yeah.
So.
So I'm gonna respond to Mushu. Okay, well, before you go to Samu responding to you, I'm gonna just do Mushu's point, and then we'll do Samu, and then we'll get back to the video. Mushroom says, isn't the fan service pretty consistently high throughout Fairy Tail? Doesn't that make it a core part of the series, meaning it isn't fan service by his definition? Good point. Very good point. That's a very, very good point, and I agree with that. That's what I was talking about before. It's like theoretically anything added by the author is done so deliberately as a cool part of the series.
So Pop Team Epic?
I do know Pop Team Epic.
That is only references.
It's only references, and it's little skits type stuff. It's quite fun.
It's skits that are references, and references that are skits, and voice actor combos that are references. You know, one I believe one was like a combo of Frieza and another guy, the voice actor of Frieza and another guy, and then the next duo was some Homura and Madoka, both voice actors together for the female repeats. It's if you're going to say then nothing in that show is fan service because it's all the show, or is it all fan service because it is the show?
When everything's fan service, nothing is. Yeah. So I'll let you respond to Samu and then we'll continue.
There was an arc where a bunch of frozen giants, this all comes to mind, and there was another episode where Luffy and Nretsew were lost. Not Luffy, Lucy. Lucy and Nretsew were lost.
Yeah, Lucy, yeah.
In a snow mountain, but so I remember. Try to come the Sun Villa arc. Alright, I'll read through some summaries. It's been years for me as well.
Yeah. Sun Village. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, there we go. Back. We're almost done anyway with the video, so let's get back to it.
The problem is when it gets in the way of the story, which happens constantly in Fairy Tail. Every single fight. Just when things are getting tense, or we had a heartwarming backstory or whatever, somehow, some way Lucy ends up naked. And when you read it, it feels like it was forcefully shoved in there. To the point you would expect the volume to come to life and start saying, so that's the big difference. The classic scene in High School of the Dead of Neo-level evasion tits fits that anime perfectly, and doesn't take anything away from it. The fourth wall breaks in Sayakano, same thing, they serve as sprinkles on top, as fanservice should. Now something like in Fairy Tail, it's intrusive, it's not sprinkles on top of a donut, it's cutting out parts of the donut to make space for sprinkles. So
that's very subjective.
Yeah, because if it's such an integral part of the series, it's not fan service anymore. If there's so much,
that's what I'm saying. Like, could you really call it intrusive if it's like? It sounds to me like, remember how we talking about people getting different things out of different things, right? It seems to me like he wanted to go into Fairy Tail for the magic fights or something, right? Like he was in it. He mentions JoJo a lot, which leads me to believe that he likes JoJo. So my running theory right now is he went into Fairy Tail wanting creative magic fights.
Shonen fights.
Yeah, and when he gets into the fight, and then oh no, it's like he opens the box and it's like, oh no, it's just Lucy's tits. You know, he's kind of like disappointed, right? Which is why he's saying that it detracts from the thing. But it's like I mentioned, that's entirely subjective, because someone else is probably going into Fairy Tail not having that problem because they understand that it's a core element of Fairy Tail and it's not detracting from the experience of Fairy Tail, because that is the experience of Fairy Tail, right? So it sounds to me like he wanted to get something out of Fairy Tail that's different than what the work was trying to convey, I guess.
Yeah, because some people are there for the Lucy tits, and then there are all these boring fights.
Yeah, oh man, it's so boring. They're talking and they're fighting. I just wanna look at Lucy's tits. Another fight. When do I get to see Lucy's boobs? Yeah. It's a key. Apparently, it's a key part of them beating the enemy. Yeah, it's a strategy, distraction strategy. All right. Well, let's. We're like 10 seconds away from ending, so let's end the video.
I never see videos.
Yeah, I can see
mess,
the bars.
But I hope you still enjoyed it. Yeah. Like and subscribe for more. And without further ado, I'm Hellmouth signing out.
Do we need also to have that like and subscribe thing?
Nah.
Maybe. You know, this is very meta. Not very interesting, maybe to our viewers, but. That last video of ours with the traditional thumbnail with the boomer face is doing a little better than these new thumbnails.
Need to start doing some more.
The reaction faces do work, apparently.
Apparently, yeah. So anyway, that was the video. Like I said, I think the first half I find the definition interesting. I find his I not from a it's correct standpoint, but from a thought experiment standpoint, right? The idea of fan service not necessarily just being lewds and extending that to other aspects of anime, I think is an interesting subject to talk about and extrapolate on. However, I don't think it's a very useful definition for everyday utility, right? I think it doesn't help with online discussions about fan service, especially when 99% of those are going to be about the lewds and whether or not lewds are justified or not. But I think it's an interesting thought experiment. And then, of course, in the second half of the video, he kind of starts to trail off into, fan service. Yeah, a bit of self-contradiction, a bit of rambliness. He doesn't quite. I mean, I get this is probably just a little rant video. It's not like I don't think he was very scripted here, but yeah, I just thought it was interesting, and we did get some interesting conversation out of it. So I guess it works out in the end, doesn't it? So. Hey, it's NECRO! Yeah, NECRO comes in. Well, good. You clicked on the stream at the right time, NECRO, because we just we just finished with the talk about this thing. But we can talk about other stuff anyway. So it's all good.
Yeah.
So what do you think, Nelly? What's your final thoughts?
He could make a point that the term fan service should be broader than it's used for right now. Then it would acknowledge that fan service is what it is now, what it should be, etc., etc. And then he could have a consistent definition to use. But even then, he doesn't use his own definition consistently.
Yeah, and that's a core problem. I think is he has a lack of consistency. I think that he probably needed to have his little thought experiment here cook in the oven a little bit longer.
Yeah,
probably should have cooked it a bit.
I mean, if the first half is setting up the definition, the second half is just complaining about things he doesn't like in Fairy Tail.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, Samu makes the point that Fairy Tail is an awful example of a fan service. Like it's similar to the original Dragon Ball in that sense. No, we're not necessarily finished because we're gonna maybe shoot the shit and talk about some stuff. I mean, unless Ellie's got another video.
Or did NECRO tweet this out or something?
I don't know. Maybe.
I hope not.
Would be. Well, I tweeted it out, so maybe NECRO got it from there. But it's good. We like people in the chat.
We did want to do another video. It's only been an hour.
Yeah, we've got plenty of time to. Oh, you found the dress up darling tweet. I just noticed.
Yeah, I do stuff in the background while you do your rants.
Yeah.
I even found I linked the IMDb for the movie I was mentioning.
I did see that, yeah, because I didn't have the secret Discord chats where we talk about things. The secret, super secret. So what are you feeling like? What do you want to do? Do you want to do some Twitter drama, or what do you want to?
I don't mind Twitter drama, but I'd rather do a video instead.
All right. Well, what do we got? What do we got on the docket? Do we have anything else other than the? I think this is the Ero Manga Sensei one. That's probably going to be fan service related. So we could keep the theme.
All right.
It's either that. I would say either that, or we could do slavery and isekai.
My preference goes to slavery in isekai, because you haven't watched Ero Manga Sensei.
I haven't watched Ero Manga, but then you could take the lead. I mean, I took the lead on this, so you could take the lead on Ero Manga. But what does the chat want? What does the chat want to see?
Do you want to see a poll or something?
Can you? I wonder if we can make a poll. Participants. You might have to do it.
Or how do I? All right, isekai.
Slavery and isekai or Ero Manga sensei? We'll let the chat decide what they want to see.
Democracy.
Democracy at play. I'm not gonna vote because I don't want to fudge the numbers. So I'm just gonna let the chat do their thing. I think I can just go. Can I just go? Oh no, I can't. I was gonna just have it show the result, but I can't see the result until the votes have gone through. I guess. I guess we'll just shoot the shit for a tiny little bit while we let people get in what they want to get in.
Yeah. I mean, there's 6 viewers and five votes.
5 votes. All right. Well, I'm gonna cast a vote just so I can see what one it is. What would I prefer? I don't know. I'm gonna go with that one. Let's see. Oh, it's 50. It's 50-50. We need a deciding vote. Oh no. Oh boy. Democracy has failed. Democracy has failed. All right.
Oh damn! You're one of the 6 people who can vote.
Yeah, I'm one of them. Shit.
Well, I can executive decision. The majority of viewers wanted Ero Manga Sensei.
Okay. All right. Well, if that's what the people want.
The people wanted Ero Manga Sensei, mostly.
Yep. All right. Well, I don't mind doing the Ero Manga Sensei. Look at that, 50-50.
Can you load it up so that I don't have to break
yeah, hang on. Let me go grab the video from the phone. Copy the text. I gotta paste that in there. Gonna bring that up.
If you follow seasonal anime at all,
There we go.
Change the.
You gotta change all the things. Yep.
Fanservice.
Fine, let's talk about incest. We talked about the incest game a couple of streams ago, so it's kind of.
Title is
so David says, I personally dislike the slavery cliche on isekai. I don't know, it's kind of cringy for me. Like all these manga all have wet dreams about slaves IRL. Well, maybe we'll do this. We'll do the slavery video another time. Like it's not necessarily we're never going to do it. It's one of the ones we have on our list. We have like a big list of videos. Well, it's not a big list, but we have a list of possible videos to do that we're just kind of pulling from, right? So we sort of
which you can add to.
Which you can add to if you go on the community posts and suggest videos. Because I do have some takes on the slavery thing, and it's been a long time since we talked about it, I guess.
On slavery specifically, because we talk about isekai all the time.
Because we talk about isekai all the time, but the slavery aspect we've talked about at length before, and we've talked about, the fact that there are reasons for that are not just necessarily to do with fetish related stuff in terms of they just want to have slaves IRL or whatever. Like there are actual reasons why authors decide to do it in a sense. So again, we'll maybe next week we'll do slavery and isekai. No promises, but we'll see what happens. So Ero Manga Sensei. I know of the Ero Manga Sensei. I probably know enough about it to kind of have somewhat of a take, but since Ali is more into it than I am, he's probably going to be taking the lead on this one. To talk about this guy's takes. I will tune in when applicable if I feel like I've got something to say. I do know that it is also the progenitor of the "This is trash and so am I" from Gigguk. This is the show that he famously coined that horrific phrase that I hate so much. So, yeah,
I guess we'll, of anime.
Yeah, so let's get right into it. Let's see what this guy has to say about it. Because so the title is "How to Fix Ero Manga Sensei." So let's hear the take. How are we gonna fix the show, Ali? How are we gonna do it?
Seasonal anime at all, you'll know that when Ero Manga Sensei released, it very quickly gained a lot of notoriety. There were many impressions of the light novel adaptation.
you know the one that I'm looking at, right?
Yes. That quote doesn't belong to her.
No, but I'm just the fucking thumbnail and the fucking.
That quote is real, or that quote isn't a quote. It is a true statement in the sense of the
It's
show,
a true statement,
but not to her.
And then there's Gigic's famous video too, the new level of trash. Yeah.
Yeah.
Necro comes in. Anti-tubers have done more damage to the anime community than any. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree. So yeah, let's see. See
most of them involving the word trash and as many variants, but it's clear to see that this show has a wide reach, for better or worse. Despite the conversation surrounding the show being almost entirely negative, it has a suspiciously high score on Mal and Anime Planet, which suggests to me that there may be more of a critical middle ground.
Oh no.
People like the show.
People like the show. They're supposed to hate it. It's supposed to be trash, Ellie. What? How could this possibly be? But anyway, let's keep going.
Than it seems. And a sense that maybe, beneath some of the awful characters and cringeworthy attempts at humor, there is something resembling potential.
Yeah, very judgmental.
For a decent show. By highlighting the parts of the series that needed to be accentuated and parts that needed to be outright removed, I'm going to...
I think those statements should be reversed.
Maybe.
To tell you how to turn Ero Manga Sensei into Ero Manga Sensei Ultimate. Let's start with Ero Manga Sensei's biggest problem. Ero Manga Sensei.
Man, this actually works out really well because it gets into what we were just talking about with let's just remove the core elements of the show, right? And, and tune it into something completely different, because that sounds exactly what this guy's about to do. He's about, you know what the problem with Ero Manga Sensei is, Ellie? The Ero Manga Sensei.
Ero Manga Sensei is the alias of her.
We're gonna kill Necro as well. Necro's losing his mind. We're about to kill him. Sorry, Necro.
I know you barely do videos anymore. Maybe this will.
Oh, he does streaming sometimes these days, don't you, Necro? You do your streams.
Sorry, I may have been subscribed to you, but I rarely check the inbox these days.
Yeah. But anyhow, let's continue.
Sagiri is utterly irredeemable, and I mean that without a hint of hyperbole. Her character is ham-fistedly unrealistic. Her "I don't know anyone by that name" joke is painfully unfunny, and she's a human impediment to the narrative's ability to go to interesting places.
Okay, so you're going to have to step in here and give me some context. What's the context?
Her alias, she is an illustrator. She's an illustrator for her brother's / main protagonist book. A light novel book. She specializes in ecchi drawings.
So she's pretty much your typical Twitter artist, okay?
She's a typical Twitter artist in that sense. When confronted, and they didn't know each from, or at least the brother didn't know that her sister was the one who was Ero Manga Sensei. Ero Manga Sensei, the guy that he respected and did all the drawings for him.
Right.
So, but when at some point it is revealed, etc., then when our protagonists say, "Hey, are you Ero Manga Sensei?" then she replies, "I don't know anybody by that name."
Right. So she's basically just denying the fact that she's the Ero Manga Sensei.
Yes, in a very formal declaration. I don't know anybody by that name. Not no, that's not me or something. And she's cute in the sense in the thumbnail you saw her with a headset on and a mic.
Yeah.
That's because she's rather soft spoken, and she she fixes that by plugging in a mic and having that connect to a speaker. So when she's on that balcony, she says that she yells that very softly.
Okay.
And that's the first time, and it's also one of the first times she goes outside because she's always inside the house. Hikikomori, parents died, trauma, etc. Quick summary of a kind of initial dynamics of the show.
So this guy's problem, essentially, from what I remember from when he was talking, because I've actually completely forgotten what he was saying, is she's apparently a bad character because why?
She's perverted. She likes drawing ecchi things. And she likes looking at ecchi things. And
so she's a woman that likes ecchi, which is a cardinal sin for most.
And she makes that joke of I don't know anybody by that name. A couple of times, not that even that often.
Right, and that's apparently subjectively he doesn't like the joke. Basically, is the gist I'm getting. So I'm reading the chat, and we got anime has to be is unrealistic. What? you know. And then we have David coming in and say it's heavily criticized, but people actually watch it. Does that mean that Ero Manga is a cult classic? Yeah, maybe.
Kind of. Well,
Magic D. I remember reading the first. Oh, hello. I think we had. I'm gonna assume that's Necro has joined the chat.
Oh damn! I don't have any.
We don't have a Fugi. We don't have a Fugi for Necro. So
don't worry about it. I'm having a trouble. With this guy's video. He wants to fix Ero Manga Sensei. I have this weird approach now. I know I have not been around in the AniTuber sphere.
You've been off on a sage adventure for the last 2 years or whatever. You haven't been in tune with the with the goings on of the AniTube.
Yeah, and it's pretty much been an outside view of looking in, because I've kind of gotten over the fact that you can yell at AniTubers all day long, such as gentlemen here, but it doesn't do anything. So now it's to the level of just, I don't know, saying the quiet part out loud, I guess, for lack of a better way of putting it. So he's complaining about character being unrealistic. Well, yeah, she's super exaggerated. Like, everybody knows that, mangaka or people that draw ecchi drawings aren't typically like that anyways.
I mean, have you ever, met an online artist? Have you ever...
Yes.
you know what I mean?
Funnily enough, the thing is, TK, Tablet Knight, the guy that draws Claire, he met me in the real life, and he's a pretty normal, well-adjusted human.
He's just a normal person. Yeah.
It's just normal. So whenever I see this guy using the comparison, I feel like my brain cells are committing Minecraft.
Yeah, he wants the anime character to act like the normal person, when it's that's not the point. It's supposed to be an exaggeration. It's meant to be, hey, let's take this trope / character archetype and let's have fun with it, because no fun allowed, right? Can't have fun in your anime. Has to be realistic.
Well, there has to be a deep subplot of characters that go through development and everything else. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's going to debunk me in the next.
Well, we'll see. We'll see how we go, because we're only a minute in, so we'll see how the how.
Yeah,
how
and it's
go.
good to have somebody who watched Ero Manga Sensei.
Yeah, I'm gonna be the odd one out. I'm gonna be sitting in the background, I'm just gonna be like, oh no, I don't have anything to say. Well, I guess my job can be looking at the chat and responding to the chat. So, because we had one chatter say on I think it's called Onikore, basically Japanese Mal. Ero Manga Sensei is rated at 93.5. So, I mean, that's pretty good. 93.5 sounds pretty good.
Wasn't there something 8 something on Mel, and he thought it was too high?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So, but anyway, let's keep going. Let's see what else he has. What other problems he has with the character.
Her status movie Neat is as one-dimensional as a dime a dozen harem protagonist, and at the same time she ironically lacks any appeal as a heroine herself. The first step to fixing Ero Manga Sensei is a significant decrease in Sagiri's screen time, or her outright removal from the series.
But then What the fucking show is called Ero Manga, Sensei? You're gonna remove the Ero? Like, I was joking about that, you know, like, but he's actually suggesting that we need to remove the Ero Manga, Sensei, from the Ero Manga.
But even still, most harem protagonists in their ecchi comedies are completely fine characters, and having one actually be a girl is a fun twist on that. So I don't see her Sagiri being a girl with the personality, I guess, of a harem protagonist, even though she's super shy and never leaves the house.
Yeah, I don't know if I would, like, I mean, again, I haven't watched the show, but from everything I've seen, like, when I think of, like, a generic harem protagonist, I think, generic-looking guy in high school who is just relatively normal. He's not, like, most of the time, they're not hyper-perverted, but perverted things just happen around them, and they react to that. Like, if you think about, like,
most.
Talavru, like, if you think about Talavru, right? Like, the guy in Talavru. Well, the guy in Talavru, it's not like he is going out of his way to do the ecchis, right? He like, the ecchis just sort of happen, right? So I don't know what this guy's kind of going on about here, where it's like she like, because she doesn't see, because she is making the ecchi, right? That's the point. Like, she is not. Yeah. It's very weird. Very weird. So anyway, let's
You might say, but how can they call it Ero Manga Sensei without Ero Manga Sensei? And to that I say, you could call it Light Novel Harem Club Sensei for all I care, as long as the story and characters are decent. She's absent from so many of the scenes she may as well not even be in the show at all, and I truly believe the viewer's experience would only benefit from it. Honestly, the other characters literally carry this eponymous dead weight so much that it's not even worth bothering.
Okay.
Yeah, she doesn't leave the house because of crippling social anxieties. So she sees the world through tablets at some point.
And that in its own right is more of a characterization than most harem protagonists. Like, that's already, like, an interesting idea, right? Like, why, because you brought up, like, this trauma and stuff, right? It's like, okay, well, why is she like that? You can go into that in the series, right? And you can say, oh, well, like, that gives you a through line to have a plot, right? So again, it's very, very weird criticisms. David in the chat is like, it's doable though. Remember that One Punch Man was literally a story where one character have less screen time than the side characters. Yeah, but again, it's like,
One Punch Man is about the system, really. In my opinion, my view, One Punch Man is about the world and the system, and Saitama is one small part of that system. So therefore, it's kind of natural that he only gets screen time as the one person in that whole system. Well, of course, something like Ero Manga Sensei is character-driven, character drama, character comedy, action, whatever.
The thing is, it's not a matter of whether or not it's doable. The problem I've got here is, like, you'd just be creating something completely original, right? Like, you
see, that's the problem with the criticism of his entire video hinges on the fact that it needs to be not this thing for it to be watchable, but he wants something else. He can just say, pretty much in this video, I didn't watch this show and I want things to change for my own preference. And he would be pretty much okay with that. But instead he decided to make minutes long video to say, I don't like this thing, change it. You weird PDF files. Well, this show is just awful.
And Necro, were you there when we discussed about how people watch things for different reasons?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I still hold by that point. Of course, there are limits to that, but I still believe in that.
You can watch things for different reasons, but ultimately you can come to the same, like, so if you're watching, here's a bad example. Here, I hope you're ready for a bad example.
Oh, go ahead.
If you're watching something that's like Full Metal Alchemist and you're watching it because you want action there's someone that's going to watch it for action. If you're a person that watches it for comedy, then you're probably going to watch it for the comedy, and then you'll probably stay for the rest in both of those cases.
Yeah.
But ultimately, if both of those people are watching it, they'll still have an entire timeline of exactly everything that happens in the series and why characters are like that. It's just they preferred those parts of it. But when it comes to something like Ero Manga Sensei, it's you're either a degenerate, that's okay, you can watch it. But then you get the people that hate watch it. And they try not to look at everything through that same, like, okay, this is why she's that way. And he, from what it sounds like, he'll probably never get to that conclusion in this video. I don't know.
It's like I mentioned earlier, like my whole thing is, if you know you're not gonna like it, why would you subject yourself to it?
Well, because they want to be strapped to the chair by themselves.
Yeah,
they want people to pressure them.
Yeah. Well, I just have because when we were discussing it with Ali, right, it's like I can understand like people watching things for different things. I think your Full Metal Alchemist example is actually quite interesting because you can have people that like the character drama of Full Metal Alchemist for another example, but they might not, like, the fights might not be as interesting, but it's not like they're going to say, oh, we need to remove the fights from Full Metal Alchemist and it just needs to be a political drama about these like characters having political drama, right? Or character drama, etc., etc. So that's where I come in, and I'm like, that's stupid, because obviously the fights in Full Metal Alchemist are integral to what makes Full Metal Alchemist Full Metal Alchemist. So when you're saying, no, we need to remove that, that's when I have a problem. If you just say, hey, I like Full Metal Alchemist, I personally like the drama more than I like the fights, but it's not like the fights are bad, I can still enjoy the show. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. That's perfectly good. It's just when you start demanding that things change on a fundamental level is when you're going to run into pushback, right? So Mushroom in the chat is like, I could fix Ero Manga Sensei for him. Step 1, download an anime that you like. Step 2, right click and rename. Step 3, type in Ero Manga Sensei. Step 4, watch Ero Manga Sensei.
Quotation marks.
Yeah. She's a shut and neat. It makes sense that she would be in wouldn't be in a lot of scenes. Yeah. It's
true.
But anyway,
the main character does want to get her more out of her shell when he learns. Well, he wants to in general, but now once he learns that she's Ero Manga Sensei, they build up more of a bond. He wants to use that bond to get her more out, etc., etc.
And there you go. You have a plot. There you go. Boom. Done. Plot time. But anyway, let's keep listening. Let's see what he's got.
Masamune being the author of shitty light novels is not only hilariously ironic, but it also provides the framework for what are, quite honestly, compelling relationships with his contemporaries. Elf makes a good rival and foil for Masamune, and Muramasa's impassioned speech about how much Masamune's writing means to her was a genuinely touching moment. Those do exist in harems from time to time. More of their relationship dynamic would be a valuable exercise, as well as a focus on their rivalries and competition when it comes to writing novels. Call it a hunch, but something tells me that a harem anime with a light and dark-haired heroine / creative colleague might just work. You can even keep the voice actor. Otherwise, Masamune himself is pretty unremarkable for...
I didn't get it.
So a Yamada elf, the girl with elf ears, not actually an elf.
She's just cosplaying, yeah.
Genetics causes her to have elf ears. She's human.
Okay.
It's Earth, don't worry. She is a light novel author that is very focused on numbers. If you sell more, you win.
Right.
The Maramusa character with black hair and with wearing a kimono or whatnot, Japanese traditional clothing, is the super author, better than both of them. Sells more, etc., etc. But she's in love and deeply respects our main character, and she is inspired to write because of him.
Right.
Because his web novel stories or whatnot were the cause for her to write.
Which is a very common story in the online artistic world, where you have people, being
where
inspired by
the
one another.
bigger author is the biggest fan of small author, etc., etc. That kind of relationship dynamics. That's the kind of the deal. And what I find then interesting about Ero Manga Sensei is that it is was very interested in the light novel space, the light novel publication. They do competitions, and all these authors talk all the time with each other, and they have friendly competitions with each other, and sneakily make deals or whatnot.
Yeah.
It's what's that manga about manga? Well, this is a light novel about light novels.
Yeah.
And there's another part about it which makes it interesting, but I will save that for later.
So from what I'm gathering here, to get back to the video, is this guy wanted this series to be more in line with what you're talking about than the Ero manga, I guess, quote unquote.
The sister getting sister social.
Yeah, it sounds like to me, and again, I'm making a prediction before we watch the whole video, but this is where I'm feeling this is going, is he wanted the manga about manga, but for light novels, but being more hyper focused and realistic about it, rather than the comedic character drama-ish type side of Ero Manga Sensei that exists in it. That's what it sounds like to me. Considering the author also wrote Orimo, yeah. I don't think the irony dig is really earned. See, that's another thing. Is I've come to hate irony, and I've brought this up before on the show. But it's like people that are ironic about everything are so fucking annoying. They just can't be genuine about anything anymore. And everything has to be ironic. Like with this, it's like no, like maybe the author just genuinely likes the thing. It doesn't have to be like ironic, you know. So yeah,
it's also not a deconstruction before anybody tries to claim that.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. People will be like, oh, everything's a deconstruction. It's like no. But anyway, let's continue.
Better or worse, it'd be nice if he wasn't such an incurable ciscon, but beggars can't be choosers, right? He has no reason to feel anything other than contempt for his entitled leech of a sister, yet she's the light of his life. What's wrong with this guy? Most of my other complaints could easily be applied to the vast majority of other harem heroes, so singling him out won't do much good. Suffice it to say, he's slightly above average as far as they go. There's only room in my heart for one Megumin, and it sure as hell ain't you. To expand upon why I dislike Megumin, as if I should even have to, I resent that her entire purpose in the show is to make dick jokes. Yeah, hilarious. Ero Manga Sensei shares a universe with Tsukasa Fushimi's...
that Megumin character, maybe skip back so she's in frame.
Hang on. Just
slightly long.
Yeah, that'll do. That'll work. She's in the bath. There you go.
Perfect. So Megumin is a classmate of Sagari, Ero Manga Sensei.
Okay.
She wants her to go back to school. She is also she's a popular girl, and she has an image to maintain. She does that by pretending to be sexually active, or sexually knowledgeable.
I see where this is going.
Yeah. So she makes dick's jokes in a sense to gain control.
She's trying to act what I would describe as like teenage mature, right? Like the teenage conceptualization of what mature means, to try and act more mature than she is.
Yes, and also I know what a penis looks like. Hoo hoo hoo, ha ha ha.
Ooh.
Oh, and then of course, it makes when Megumin first meets main character, she makes him uncomfortable by mentioning sex and dicks and whatnot, and that's a fun bit of manipulation and social control over him and whatnot. But then the truth is revealed. She's a fraud. She's a fake.
Oh no! Who could have seen it coming?
A poser because Sagari is very interested in what kind of panties these girls actually wear. So she steals the girls' panties.
Right.
Stuff like
Right.
that.
Yeah, and then that leads to some comedic effect because she's yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. Mushroom also, yeah. She doesn't read any light novels, and she gets recommended.
Yeah, she's
some
like
light
she's like the normie. She's like the normie-ish grounding, I guess.
Yes.
In the show.
Don't worry, I'm still here. I'm just writing down all of my thoughts for the very end because I can
that's good.
already tell how this guy is.
Yeah, you just tune in whenever you feel like wanting to tune in.
I have set it up for Fugi for you, so don't worry.
Yeah, you have a Thugi now, so you're on screen, so you can light up and look all fancy. So yeah. So his complaint is like I think it's interesting how he's boiled it down to she just makes the dick jokes, right? Even though from what you're describing, the dick jokes sound like it's an integral part of the character, right? To be like she's posing as she's pretending to be hyper lewd. Like it's ironic actually.
Sexually mature, I guess.
I know I went off about irony just before, but it's actually ironic to me because she's acting like I see a lot of fake people that are like fake interludes act, right? They'll be all like, "Oh, I'm so into lewds and the big anime woman tits and the panty," and they'll pretend. But then the moment they hit something that's slightly off kilter for them, as like, oh, they hit like BDSM stuff or they hit like more harder fetish content, they shrivel into a corn cob and suddenly suddenly they're not so pro lewd anymore. So that's what I'm kind of thinking of a little. I know she's not like that, but that's what I'm saying. Like it's kind of interesting how
she's kind of shrivels up in her self-confidence, shatters when
which is different to what I'm talking about.
But to finish off her character, that she is a connection for Sagari to a real social life, or classmates, schools, and she's also a form of connection with the main character, then gets to know her sister a little bit. His sister gets to learn more about his sister through a classmate, and the classmate wants to the sister, etc. More social dynamics.
Right. All right, let's continue.
Dick jokes. Yeah, hilarious. Ero Manga Sensei shares a universe with Tsukasa Fushimi's other work, Oreimo. This is a cool detail. It's reinforced by appearances from Stardust Witch Meruru, the Akihabara scene, and even cameos from Oreimo's cast. Both anime also have an OP performed by Claris, which is a subtle way to cement the existence of the Syscon cinematic universe. Unfortunately, the believability of this shared universe is impeded by Masamune's father and Kyosuke Kosaka both being voiced by Yuichi Nakamura. A small detail given how little screen time each of them have, but extremely immersion-breaking.
Is it really immersion-breaking?
Nah, I mean,
no, he's being absolutely regarded. He does know that people sound alike, right? Does he ever leave his fucking basement to know this?
Yeah, I wouldn't say like I would say that's more just like again, it's like another nod. I mean, even he said it's just a nod to the characters, right? So I
really personally, I do not like these cameos. It feels, they spent like 10 seconds with them on screen, kind of borrowing the popularity of Oreimo to gain more attention for Ero Manga Sensei. Hey, look at Ero Manga Sensei. It has cameos from more popular
starring Dante from the Devil May Cry series.
Yeah, so I don't.
Here's my opinion about the entire cameo thing. I don't think that cameos in like any case that is like by the same creator is bad inherently. However, I think that this one was just lazy. So
right,
I because I was thinking about something where the cameos were done perfectly well. It just it was there for like 1 second and then it just left because I'm just jotting all of this down. But when I'm thinking about characters that have cameos, it's usually more tastefully done or is kind of subtle. That's what it is. Saitokai Yaku in Domo. If you guys haven't seen it, there's a cameo to these characters that exist in that same universe. Triple booking is the 3 voice actresses that voice the 3 main girl characters of Saitokai, Yaku, and Domo. But they voiced the characters of triple booking. But they took those same characters and put them into that series because it was already like their first work. So all of the characters are just it's a whole shared thing. It's a good cameo because they all act the same, except they're not like they're not as etchy heavy. They're just like kind of dumb. It's a good cameo. It's fun. But in this, it's just kind of like, hey, you guys like that show about wanting to marry your sister?
Yeah. Oh,
there's
look,
them.
it's the Orimo girl. Yeah, yeah. So
in my for a small example in manga, I guess in Negima, the manga from the Ken Akamatsu.
Yeah.
So there are cameos of Lavina, the previous work in Negima, and that consists of a billboard and a sword with the same name, and allusions that that character with the same sword is related to the same clan, kind of deal.
Right.
That's the cameo. To repeat myself. Back to the fan service video.
Yeah, we're looping back around. It comes full circle. Yeah.
These Orimo characters are focused on for multiple seconds when they could have done their own series things, which is where I don't like these Orimo cameos.
Well, my overall take is I don't necessarily have it's like you guys said, it's not inherently bad, it's not necessarily a problem, but there are definitely ways you can do it more subtly, I guess, that might be better. So it's interesting. So let's continue.
A little more interaction between the 2 casts overall would have been cool, but Kirino's raving about Masamune's novels does give credence to his skills as a writer for clued-in viewers. I would ask for more crossover elements, but honestly, they should just give that concept its own series if they were serious about it.
Okay, pause real quick, because that's funny, because it's all Kadokawa. It's the power of
It's all Kadokawa, yeah. Well, I also find it interesting how we were just talking about how like we wanted the cameos to be like more subtle, and he's going, no, we have to make it more heavy. We have to make the cameos harder. They have to actively communicate with each other or whatever instead of it being subtle.
I like those cameos from the Spice and Wolf and sort of.
Yeah,
online.
you get the little reference, and you get that little jolt in the back of your brain.
Because in that scene, she declares war on those series, on those authors.
Series, right?
That's funny. Declaring war on Sword Art Online, the biggest light novel ever of the time.
Yeah. And it's interesting how he talks about like the crossover thing, because isn't that basically what's it called? Isekai Quintet or whatever?
Yeah, Isekai Quartet.
That's all. It's like chibi, and it's all of the different isekai characters in an anime
doing fun, silly things.
Yeah. Funnily enough, because we mentioned Emirates in Shadow before, or you did, that you haven't watched it yet. I think recently there's a Overlord X Emirates in Shadow, one of those specifically, those 2.
Yeah, I posted it in the from the Kadokawa anime channel.
Yeah. Apparently, there's a series of that happening, which is, I think that's an interesting matchup. I'm gonna have to watch that at some point because that's gonna be a funny matchup.
Yeah, I'll link Kadokawa branded things in the chat.
In the chat, so they can copyright strike us again.
Yes.
But anyhow, yeah. So let's continue.
Watch it. Tomoe is entirely neutral. It would be far too charitable to say she adds anything to the series, but it's not like she subtracts from it either. Given the source material, that's something at least. Maybe it's for the best that she doesn't really get any.
One pause real quick. She's the owner, or at least she works in the bookstore, which
that's what I figured. Yeah.
In which, in other things, sells his work also. So.
Yeah, I had a feeling that was what that was. I will say I noticed that. Did you see the little boob jiggle? I noticed the little boob jiggle.
I missed it now. But anyway.
Oh, hang on. I'll go back. It's like, all right.
Not like she subtracts from it either. Given the source material, that's
it's more the apron, I guess, kind of. But you could call that boob jiggle. I guess,
it's kind of a
little
cheap
bit.
boob jiggle, but it's
alluding
to one.
It's alluding to one, yeah.
Something at least. Maybe it's for the best that she doesn't really get any development. There's less chance to ruin her character that way. Nothing to fix here, but plenty to damage.
Man, that is so fucking dismissive. Holy shit. That's like, God. God,
she's
dude, chill.
funny because, Megumin insults light novels at some point, and then she gets really defensive about it.
Yeah, but it's like his attitude. I don't like his attitude because again, it's so dismissive.
He's been dismissive, of Ero Manga.
He has, yeah, he has the whole time, obviously. But like that in particular was a moment where it's just like, there's nothing. It's probably a good thing that she didn't get much development because there's not much to ruin. It's so bad. It's like, Jesus, dude, calm down. Like, chill out. It's not that serious. All right, come on.
Sagiri's mother is a great example of wasted potential due to her total absence from most of the series. I can only assume she died of Disney disease along with Masamune's parents. But this needn't be the case. Rather than the awful Sagiri, I propose we make Sagiri's mother the elusive Ero Manga sensei for our narrative, and naturally give her pride of place in Masamune's harem. And I know what you're about to shriek.
What? What? What?
Don't worry, he's going to explain himself.
No, just rewind it. Just a little bit. You can hear him say it again.
Yeah, I gotta. That was
Masamune's parents. But this needn't be the case. Rather than the awful Sagiri, I propose we make Sagiri's mother the elusive Ero Manga sensei for our narrative, and naturally give her pride of place in Masamune's harem. And I know what you're about to shriek with incredulity, but she's an adult and Masamune's a minor. Maybe so, but if you Google age of consent Japan...
Are you fucking serious? Are you serious right now? Are you fucking serious? Are you fucking for real?
Listen. The one thing I have learned in my in my travels all the way up to the mountaintop so I can meditate is that whenever your views are low, whenever you're low on views and you want to start up controversy so people can watch your stupid shit, you just pop out the good old, well, actually, she's a minor, and then we end up here. Because everyone on Twitter does that, and everyone on YouTube, if they're in anime community, they do that.
I gotta run you guys through my thought process right now, because I'm like, okay, you had me in the first half, not gonna lie, because he's like, okay, well, what if the mum was the one that's, super lewd and does the drawings and the stuff? Because I can create a scenario, and there probably is a manga like this already, right? Or a light novel or a thing, where it's like you have like the mum is the one that's doing the light novel, and then the kid is like embarrassed or whatever, of their mum doing the light novels. You could formulate. Like, it's very rough right now in my mind, but you can formulate an entire series around that, and it would probably work. But then he goes into this. He goes into, the MILF has to be part of the guy's harem, and now he has to justify it, right? Because I think he knows that's going to be where the people are going to attack him because of the whole miners thing, right? That the miners in the coal mines, mining the coal, Necro. the miners and the coals, mining the coal.
Coal paid, I agree.
Yeah, he has to now justify it. And he's going to try to is he actually about to try and justify it by using the, Japan age, like this meme that's not even true in the first place, right?
Nah, it's not.
I mean, like what? And he's citing IGN here from a Google source, which is also fucking hilarious. And from like May of 2013. Like, are you serious? Are you fucking for real right?
All right. Just for 1 second, let's read the summary citation of the thing on screen. However, all municipalities and prefectures, so every place in Japan, has their own particular laws, such as Tokyo's blah blah blah, which prohibits adults from having sex with youths who are under the age of 17. So what it means, all places in Japan prohibit adults from having sex with youths under 18. That means the age of consent is 17.
The age of consent. Well, I mean, it changed recently, I think.
Well, it had some
in terms of the national, in terms of the because okay, what it actually was as mentioned in the blurb, in terms of the national code, 13 was the code, but that was just the lowest it could go, right? That was where the government was like, this is as low as you're allowed to set it in your prefecture or region, right? And then each individual prefecture had its own codified law, and the vast majority of those were at the very least 16 plus, which, if you do look at other countries around the world, the vast majority of countries have it set at like 16, 17. Right? That is the majority of places. I don't know where Americans, sorry, Necro, I'm sorry for your country being weird, right? I don't know where Americans specifically have this really weird stick up their ass where they seem to think the age of consent should be like 25 or something, and anything below like 20-year-olds having sex is somehow like a massive problem or whatever. Like, I mean, like, there is obviously nuances in terms of like age gaps and stuff, but there's typically laws around that as well, right? Like, it all depends on where you are. But the general like gist is Japan's age of consent law is no different than the majority of places in the world, like Europe, you know, even my own homeland, it's 16, right? So when I'm online and I see you Americans going off about how could these anime girls oh god, so it's like I'm sitting here like, what are you on about? What are you on about? It's
Listen, we have people that are 41 years old, Dark Side Phil, who had a very interesting take on incestuous relationships. So if you want my honest opinion about Americans doing anything, he's 41 years old and he's allowed to vote and drive. He is part of society being ruined. So no, I don't like them either.
Yeah, I know. I'm just memeing, don't worry. But it's just because it's always Americans. It's always Americans that go. They always jump to this weird age of consent argument for everything, and I'm like, it's so fucking weird because most places don't care. Most places, it's like, right, the age of consent is 16. There are other laws in place to protect kids from, like, you know, 40-year-olds trying to date them or whatever, right? Like, you have,
Nretsew,
if you read the laws, they all seem relatively reasonable, right? But then there's this meme around Japan, specifically because they had the national level being so low for the longest time. And I think there was only like one island somewhere in like the Japan region that had it set to 30. It was like one place out of the whole country. And even then, I think that's now been amended and it's now in line with the rest of it, right? So, yeah, there's this weird... I hate this meme of, oh, Japan's age of consent is low, and that's why all of this weird anime stuff is there.
Yeah, but you know,
because it's not true. It's just not true.
I've heard we're going to finish with weird Americans, and then we're going to move on. That there were weird countdown sites for famous female actors that were turning 18 at such and such date.
Yeah.
And oh, then she's legal. Oh, then stupid countdowns for female actors for when they're going to turn 18.
I'm finally going to be able to shoot my shot, Ellie.
It's weird.
There was a skit about that from some guy, I can't remember, it was some animated guy. It was like Batman and Joker. It was like Joker's worst crime, and it was like, Batman, I have been dating this girl, and she's 17 years between, you know, like 100, you know, like the countdown.
350 days.
She's about to turn 18, and then I could finally do and Batman's like, you're despicable, you know, like, you know, yeah, it's weird. So this blindsided the shit out of me. I was not expecting him to be like, to get back to the video, I was not expecting him to be like, okay, here's how we fix Ero Manga Sensei. We're going to turn it from the Syscon show to the MILF show to like MILF X teenage boy show. That's how we fix it. I was not expecting that at all. That was so out of left field. But okay, let's continue. I wanna hear this. How's he gonna justify this?
Japan, there's a really disapproving look. If there's got to be an age gap between Masamune and Ero Manga Sensei, I'd rather they both be legal if they're not going to be peers. Besides,
how does it make it any better though?
She's still the
age
mom.
gap is irrelevant.
Like, wouldn't it be worse? No, but wouldn't it be worse because then there's like a power imbalance because it's an adult and a kid? Okay, to preference, I don't fucking care, and I don't have an actual problem with any of that, right? You're into what you're into, right? As long as it's fiction and you're not going after real people, I don't care, right? But if I'm going to use the logic of my enemies, right, and I'm going to be thinking about what is theoretically worse, two teenagers getting into, well, teenagers / young people having a relationship versus an older person and a kid.
Yeah, the power dynamic.
The power dynamic. It's like when you have, teacher X student, right? There's a power. The reason teacher X student is supposed to be bad in real life, right, is because of the power indifference and the fact that the adult can use that power indifference to manipulate the person younger than them, right? That's why it's a problem. So his logic here is so fucking weird.
No,
it's like Kanoko
really
said.
Weird.
It's just like whenever you read the news stories. Sorry if this is gonna get you demonetized.
We're not demonetized in general. It doesn't matter.
Okay, so the stories, like when you see it was like it could be like a male teacher of like 43 years old, and he had raped a 13-year-old girl or something, like one of those stories. But then if it's the opposite and it's a woman and it's a 12-year-old boy, they say the teacher had sex with a 12-year-old student or whatever it is, and that's how it kind of shifts into like the weird, like that's why he's okay with it, because it's not as creepy to him, because then it's like, that's amazing, that's nice. But if it's like a creepy old guy, then it's bad.
There is the hypocrisy around that when it's a female teacher, and because most men like let's be honest with ourselves as men, right? 99% of us are gonna be like sick, right? Even though we recognize it's bad and it's wrong and it's still abuse, like most men. Like people will go on about how bad it is, but deep down, most of us are going to be like, "Man, I wish that was me." Right? Like it's just, come on, like it's not good, but I'm just being a realist here, right? Like it's a lot of people are like that, and that's why that hypocrisy kind of exists in a sense, even though it shouldn't. And I agree that it shouldn't, right? Like if they get convicted, they should be convicted the same as if a man was doing it and whatnot, right? But I agree with you. That's probably why he has why he's got this like logic gap in his thinking here. I think that it's So I want to address some chats because Samu's been saying some interesting things. He was like, I forgot what stream it was, but I heard that it wasn't it set to 13 so that children could have the right to escape an abusive household earlier. I'm not sure. I don't know. Maybe it was on the normalities. Maybe that's when we talked about. I can't remember. But I don't know if that was the. I don't know if that was the specific reason for it to be that low. But I know in terms of actual age of consent, most of the time they set it to 16, 17-ish. Specifically because that means that, let's say, like you were two teenagers in a relationship. It means that that's okay, right? Because if you made it so that teenagers couldn't engage in activities, let's just say, it would cause a lot of problems, because it would be like, oh, it's just like a normal boyfriend-girlfriend doing things, and all of a sudden now they're criminals, right? Or if, for instance, let's say like you have normal teenagers exchanging photos with one another, even though you shouldn't do that, kids. Don't do that. It's bad. It always backfires when you do that, right? Don't do it. If you did have a situation like that, it wouldn't necessarily be considered, the cheese pizza, because if it's between them two, it's not distribution or whatever. Like there are you'd have to look into it. There's like legal reasons, and when you read the legal reasons, they kind of do make sense as to why it would be 16, 17, and that's why I personally think that 16, 17, based on the legal theories that I've read about it, is fine, right? It's a very complicated subject because you have to kind of tiptoe around, like you don't want to sound like you're supporting anything bad.
Because in real terms, it should be kind of lower for that age group.
Yeah, and that's why you have age gap laws, right? So it's like if there is a significant age gap, let's say it's like a 25-year-old and a 16-year-old, it changes the way that the law is looked at, because obviously that's a lot different than like a 17-year-old and a 16-year-old, right? So I don't know what. God, we're supposed to be talking about Ero Manga Sensei, and we're talking about the age of consent, which is such
because he's talking about mother-son relationships.
I just want a preference. It's like I'm not
very irrelevant.
I want a preference, right? Like, I'm not trying to justify or not justify anything. I am solely speaking on this is my understanding, and I'm not a lawyer, right? I'm just saying this is my understanding of how the law works, right? I'm not advocating. This is legal
advice.
Yeah, no, this is not legal advice. Shut up, Ellie. I am not trying to give legal advice outside of, don't send lewds, but that's more common sense advice. Don't do that. I'm just saying, like, based on because I've had to read up on some of this stuff because people on the internet argue about it all the time, and I'm like, it's good to be.
Oh yeah, and I had to look up the Japanese age of consent one time also.
Yeah, you have to look up the things.
It's annoying.
Yeah. We're gonna after this, we're gonna return to Ero Manga Sensei. I just really need to like hammer home, because it's so easy to get taken out of context and people to be like, "Oh, you support the CPs because you think that the teenagers." It's like no. It's like with the whole I think Samu might have brought it up. It was like the meme of the teacher student. It's okay when it's the woman and the thing. If teacher tried to get like Samu. It's not the same for everyone, obviously, because Samu makes the good point of the 14 teacher and tried to get into his pants, you might lose it, and no matter what, it's bad, right? No matter what, it's bad. I'm just saying, I think a lot of men have had that moment of, man, that teacher's hot.
Yeah, but it's always in the context of already being an adult and having the fantasy.
Adult, yeah. And having the fantasy, yeah, exactly. And there's nothing wrong with having fantasies. Just don't do anything that's actually illegal. All right?
It'd be kind of scary if you're actually that small, if that's big of a teacher.
Woman, yeah.
Nah,
there's a lot of psychological problems that can come from that. So it is bad. It is bad. Don't take me out of context, all right?
Don't worry, we only have 6 viewers at the moment.
Yeah, but anyway, I think I've made it clear enough, so let's get into it.
It's the dynamic of an older woman interested in a spineless teenage harem hero is pretty fertile, unexplored ground if played out seriously. Given
if played out
I don't want to stay on the topic. I'm not getting back. I'm not getting back into the topic. That is so fucking wild. Okay, I'm sorry. Like what?
No, I'm.
See, look, it's okay when he does it.
Yeah, it's okay when he does it.
It's really weird. I'm going to make my statement because I haven't been saying much.
Yeah, sorry. I've been ranting a little bit. So I'll let you go. Yeah.
Now he's playing by two standards, by two measures, in that he's treating age difference or underage very seriously when it's about girls, and it's very flippant when it's about our main protagonist, who is at this point 17-ish or so. Something like that. So he's being super flippant on the one hand and super serious on the other. Is weird.
Hang on. I'm just type it in the chat so I don't have to respond to stuff even though the live chat probably is going to get recorded. I'm just saying. Yeah, I'm responding to Samu basically. But let's keep going.
Status as a heroine on the same level as Elf or Muramasa, Ero Manga Sensei Senior could take the plot in some unexpected and welcome places. But maybe it's just me.
Yes.
It could quite easily veer into the realm of outright creepiness and even be somewhat predatory, but let's not pretend we haven't crossed that line already.
Yes,
I'm going to withhold until the very end.
our sexy, our introverted and edgy loving girl likes panties.
Yeah.
And is going to steal them.
Yeah, this isn't my fetish. Why doesn't this show have my fetish? Yeah, exactly. It's fine.
Perfect.
Oh, God.
With very slight exceptions, this entire episode needs to be nuked from orbit. While it ostensibly exists to show how Masamune and Sagiri encourage each other's creativity, it really added nothing but a convoluted and unnecessary shared backstory. This episode mostly lacks substance, it just seems like filler with a silly premise. I feel like having a perverted 7-year-old catfishing the main character ultimately disqualifies you from trying to sympathetically tell the story of a recovery.
I'm going to have to explain episode 11.
You are, yeah.
I didn't remember, it's been a while, I don't remember exact episodes anymore. But this is Sagiri here, the sister character, 7 years old. Her mother died. She has no parents.
Right.
She's very sad. Our main character is also very sad. Parents died. He only has I'm forgetting. Maybe both parents died, or he only has an uncle. Doesn't matter.
Dead parents.
He's sad.
Bad times. Yeah.
Our main character, to cope with sadness, starts writing a web novel to cope with the trauma, to digest the loss, etc., etc. Very healthy, very good thing to do for the kid. Very good thing that he did. Sagiri here reads the story and it cheers her up. It gives her strength, and she becomes his fan. And she starts making fan art for that very small story that he wrote, and that fan art gave him confidence to start writing, and that fan art and that positive feedback on the fan art gave her confidence to start drawing, and they both got strength from coping with the trauma of their parents dying through silly, overpowered main character harem light novels, web novels. That's and I assume that the other scenes also, like episode 11, they do some bonding. Sagiri is still very nervous of getting out of the house, but she's made it that she can leave the room. Big improvement. And he carries her around that tablet so she can see the world, etc., etc. Very good, very bonding episode, and a backstory that they have known each other and shared in each other's trauma and shared in each other's healing. Good stuff all around. That's episode 11.
But you don't understand, Ellie. She catfished him.
Yes, she drew fan art for a story that helped her immensely recovering from the trauma of losing her mother.
Yeah. And she catfished him. Yeah,
yes.
Totally, 100%.
Anyway. Neat, with any sincerity at the same time. Or at least it should. If you want to detail the trials and tribulations of a hikikomori while also injecting some wacky comedy, there are much better ways to do it. Ultimately, you can tell whatever story you like.
Pause that? See, that right there is what we're getting to. He wants this show to be that one and nothing else. That's my statement.
Yeah. It sounds like it.
But when you're trying polar opposite narratives and tones, it's better to go all in on one of them. Not to harp on the same point, but replacing Sagiri with her mother would have at least lent the slightest morsel of credibility.
He keeps digging his hole. He keeps digging his own hole. Like, holy shit, mate.
God. Just end me.
To their little text chain, which it desperately needed. While we're at it, save some hellfire for episode 12 too. That speaks for itself. Sure, it involves some of my least favorite anime.
Fun fan service moment in the sexual way, gone sexual. Them both being in bath suits was a reward, was a equivalent exchange for Sagiri not being able to make it on this vacation, which you see right now, and seeing the swimsuits that the girls wore at that vacation, business vacation kind
So
of.
she can draw this. Yeah, I see where this is going. Yeah,
And she likes the swimsuits, sexy swimsuits, and so she has them both in her room, playing Twister, looking leerily and drawing it out.
Yeah. Hypers. He's basically just like I don't want to repeat the same thing over and over, but it is essentially just let's just make something that is a completely different story, that is completely different from the ground up. That's not even the same thing. Is the gist of it, really. So anyways, continue.
Anime tropes, but the character interactions from episode 10 are definitely welcome. When the group starts talking about their writing, their dreams, and what their stories mean to them, Ero Manga Sensei dares to let us see the characters on a deeper level than their gags do. That said, a King's Game is the perfect place to have these sorts of jokes without them feeling forced or out of place. Well, no more forced than playing the game in the first place. Ero Manga Sensei approaches something genuine with its cast in episode 10, striking a good balance between appropriate comedy and firm characterization. To give credit where it's due, you can trace the character arcs of Elf and Muramasa over the course of the series, and it all culminates here, only to be dropped later. These kinds of pleasant, authentic moments from harem anime come only once in a blue moon, but I cling to them whenever they arise, and this series is no exception. More of this, please. Noticeably absent from any...
So,
but what did we say? That? Different people watch the show for different reasons. He watches it for the light novel offer. He watches it for the light novel offers.
Yeah, he can watch something else. Also, it was just words. For him to just say, I want to watch something else.
Yeah, and it's interesting how he's like, these moments in harem ecchi shows only come once in a blue moon, and that this is supposedly the only part that's genuine and not the rest of it.
No, not episode 11. Not at all.
Yeah.
Trauma, healing, sharing.
Sort of...
Alright,
growth or intrigue is Sagiri. What a surprise. So those are just some of the ways you could fix Ero Manga Sensei, or maybe how to ruin it if you think my suggestions are even worse than what we got. Either way though, with a keen eye on what to emphasize and eradicate...
Can you pause real quick? The suggestions are worse than we already have. What a loaded
what do you
statement.
mean by that?
The show is worse. I can only make it worse. I can only make a worse show worse, he says.
Yeah. Alright, we're almost done.
This series could have approached a much higher level of decency, in more ways than one.
Okay. And then that's it, I guess. That's the end.
I wrote down everything that I witnessed.
Give us your rundown. What do we got?
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and preface this with when all of this is said and done, I want you guys to understand very clearly why I have not made videos in a long time. For one, it's because I'm not home, and two, I could technically do something, but this MacBook it's pretty okay. I just haven't used it that way. All right, so here's what I wrote down through this entire
before
video.
Before you go off, can you, Nretsew, can you just play the video? I'm muting it so we have something more interesting than a lost screen. From the beginning or something.
Okay.
Yeah, be real.
I'll mute it on my end. There we go.
Yeah.
You're good.
I should do this instead.
Yeah, so the video is just playing, and I'll repeat it when we need to repeat it. So anyway, Necro, you go.
Yes.
You have the floor.
All right. So check this out. I wrote down all of this. And I titled it inadvertently, Everything I Like is Cool and Good. So if I were gonna make a video, that's what it would be titled. People are enjoying things the wrong way. That's the first line. So you remember that meme? It's really just like the text from 4chan. Isn't it a good thing when there are more people who share a same interest with you? And the reply is no, because they enjoy it in the wrong way for the wrong reasons. That's what this entire video is. So Ero Manga Sensei is a well-regarded anime, for better or for worse. Just because everyone else likes it doesn't mean that you have to like it. In the case of Ero Manga, it's a show about smut, and it's filled with ecchi scenes. Tsukasa Fushimi is the creator of this and Orimo. So if you had a problem with the latter, you'll probably have a problem with the former. So if you knew what these shows or light novels are about, then why do you want it to change? Asking for something to be fixed, in air quotes, is a cop-out of saying you don't want your mom to walk into the room and your dad to be disappointed in you for being into funny Japanese cartoons. Ero Manga Sensei isn't anything I like personally, but I don't want it to change for me, because I have free will and I can think for myself instead of going with the mainstream. I can make a video called How to Fix It, Cowboy Bebop, and tell people that Spike Spiegel is irredeemable and has bad habits and that Cowboy Bebop would be better without him. But I won't do that.
Bad. We can't have smoking in our animes. We have to get rid of them because he smokes.
Yeah, but I won't do that though. Because for one, it's fucking regarded, and two, I watched the show multiple times and I can understand media presented to me without hand-holding. Some shows don't have anything deeper and won't expand on their characters, and that's okay. I don't have to like it, and as a result, I don't have to watch it or make a video that's 8 minutes long for that matter. When it comes to cameos, because we were stuck on that for a little bit, Saitokai Yakuindamo features a cameo appearance of the previous author's work, Triple Booking, which follows 3 female leads who have an appointment to become something of idols, more so singers, but they end up overlapping. The manager then makes them a group called Triple Booking because of the triple booking that they had. It never received an anime adaptation, but did receive a cameo in the form of the intro to an episode where they advertise their newest single, and they appear on a TV show about ghosts before the channel gets changed by Hiragi, the actual main character of the show, and her mother fighting over the remote control.
I remember that.
Those are good and organic. Ero Manga ones do seem forced, but isn't inherently bad. It doesn't detract from the overall enjoyment of the series, though. The age gap thing, I just put irrelevant because he's a fucking idiot. The backstory lays out every single character aspect for the lead characters. If it weren't in the show, he'd move the goalpost and complain about it not giving characters any depth. Again, Ero Manga Sensei isn't my favorite show. It's not even in my top 100. But to be angry about a backstory that essentially self-fixes the previous episodes is absurd. What most sane people do when they watch something they don't like is they either drop it completely wherever they are, or when you finish it, you just call it bad and move on. And that is why everything that I like is cool and good. And people are enjoying things the wrong way. And this guy clearly doesn't get it.
This guy's, and we need more MILFs. We need more problematic MILF pairings.
We need my fetish in it, not this other creepy fetish. Like this dude could have, if these weren't about even people, like let's say these were furries, he'd be complaining, oh well, they shouldn't have these young pups having relationships. They should be with humans instead. We would still have the same argument.
Yeah, and then he has to justify it with the weird age of consent shit, which is like that's like. Yeah, his logic, but I still can't get over his logic around that because it's so antithetical to the common arguments you see around that. Because most of the time they'll bring that up as like an own to be like, oh, it's so gross and weird or whatever. But he's using that as like, oh well, I mean, it's not. It's better if it's an adult and a kid rather than 2 kids. You know, it's like that's so weird. I don't want to bring that back again, but I can't get over that. It's such a it reminds me of when we were doing the fighting game guy. Remember, Ellie, we were doing the fighting game guy the other stream, and he just randomly like goes into like pedo stuff in the comment section, and I'm like, that's fucking weird. Like, why would you bring that up at all? You know, like it's so weird. My take is basically, and my closing thoughts on the video is it's a very, very weird video. He basically just wants to create a completely different show than what it is. And, I mean, that's not necessarily bad, but the problem you have is, you know, you're trying to turn the apple into an orange, you know, and if you wanted to turn the apple into the orange, why not you just go and pick an orange, you know, just go eat an orange instead of eating an apple, you know. It seems weird to me that you'd deliberately subject yourself to something you don't like. So yeah, Ali, what's your final thoughts? What do you?
My final thought is that video is kind of weird. I've gone to right now. I have an opinion that wanting things to be very different from what the show is not necessarily like sacrilege to the show itself. It's kind of you can have weird objections to the show and weird demands of the show, but all right, you have weird demands and weird objections to the show. All right. It's weird that his moral quandary is kind of, oh, this is bad, but this is fine. He applies real world morals at one point, and then it's all fine because it's just fiction at the other. Kind of weird. I don't like the cameos. I've mentioned that before. One part I did want to mention, which is outside of the show or outside of the show runtime, kinda, is that our main character is kind of embarrassed by the books that he writes. Just a kind of a characterization of the main character. He's embarrassed by the book.
He's just like me.
He is. And like us, for the streams that we do, and
our cringe streams.
You hear your own voice, and it's not how you sound. I swear.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but then so he's kind of embarrassed by the fan-servicey, trashy quotation marks, overpowered main character harem comedy light novels that he writes. And that is kind of a fun conflict in and of itself, of a author that is embarrassed by his own work. And it's what I find interesting, because the author's previous work is Imo, which is this kind of fan servicey, power in a sense relationship fantasy. And therefore, that's my personal opinion, is that this Ero Manga Sensei is kind of a reflection, a kind of an autobiography of writing Imo. That's my opinion. That's how I read Ero Manga Sensei. The kind of a half embarrassment which you would feel if you are the author of a very popular light novel series called Imo. And that makes, for me, Ero Manga Sensei interesting outside of, even if Sagari and Masamune would marry each other again, the second series that happens, it would still be interesting for that reason, as a kind of for my own interests in look into the mind of the author. And of course, it's still very interesting to see how he writes out how light novelists interact with each other, how they read each other's work, what they value, what they don't. Masamune's character writes 1 billion light novel concepts and gets them all rejected. Elf here does nothing for entire months and then writes everything on the night of the deadline. And I forget her name, black-haired girl, she does one draft and it's perfect. That's 3 different ways of writing, basically, and
3 different perspectives. Yeah,
that stuff is interesting. Oh, I rambled a little bit, went all over the place.
No, you're good. I think you made some good points. Yeah, I think it's it was an interesting video to cover. So good job, chat. Yeah, it ended up being a lot more interesting than I thought it was going to be. I thought I wasn't going to have a whole lot to say, but then I get to have a rant about how the age of consent is used on the internet. It's just fucking. Oh,
yeah, man. It's always used inappropriately and for
it is
not
used
the
inappropriately.
Right thing.
Yeah.
Kind of weird ways.
I don't want to. I really don't want to bring it up again, but it's so fucking weird. Like, and it's annoying because it is a touchy subject to get into. Because I just know that some fuckwit can like take what I say in that regard and be like, Nretsew supports the kids having. It's like no. It's like, please have some logic here, guys. But I think we're pretty much done with that. Do you want me to stop the video from replaying and Or, I don't know, switch to a different screen or whatever. What time is it? We've kind of gone for about. Oh, we've got about.
We still have our
hour.
half-hour quota until we have 3
Yeah,
hours.
we still got half. We want to get to 3 hours. Well, we can go, a little bit over, a little bit under. It doesn't matter too much. So, since we've got Necro, what's Necro? What have you been up to? What have you been doing? You got some fun stuff to talk about?
No.
Fair enough.
I mean, so if you want my thoughts on everything so far, I have not kept up with any anime videos because I find that our usual suspects are relatively quiet for the most part.
Yeah, and it's interesting because we've mostly, since we've come back to doing streams, since we switched from doing the videos to doing the streams, we actually haven't covered any. Have we of the usual suspects? I don't think we have.
No, Manime Matt hasn't uploaded in something for over a year at this point. Pandemic Romantic has quit for a long time. Normality makes hour-long videos, which aren't good to cover.
We don't really want to cover.
But
them,
recently, I have all these new small videos have been interesting to see. I was afraid in the sense that we wouldn't have anything, but.
Yeah,
if
we've got some. There's some people pumping out stuff that might be interesting to cover, and we've been
that PAX Tube guy is weirdly
interesting.
Ali
is hyper fixated on PAX. Yeah,
PAX I'm pretty sure is just he's very closeted and he just doesn't want to come out to anyone. He's
a little. Yeah, he's a very weird fellow, that's for sure. And we've been thinking about covering one of his things, but we haven't committed yet.
It's kind of he's very religious and very Christian, so that gives a lot of baggage, And
I do agree with Lays. Lays is he said media critique is such a tricky thing. Not many wants to really judge things based on its own merits, which is true.
Yeah. The idea of art serving itself is kind of become like people don't want to believe that now, but I believe that art serves itself, and you should consider looking. You gotta look at art in its own merits, and you gotta be like, right, what was the message they were trying to present with this versus certain things like that. So yeah, and his other message as well about how I saw one that was also quite interesting. It was something along the lines of it was David said the big mistake on story critique is that you get biased by your own preferences, which is what I think happened here with this fellow. Is he obviously really likes certain things and would rather the thing be the other thing. And when it's not, he kind of, it's it's difficult.
I'm glad that we do have media critique because I know a lot of people that are going to watch Attack on Titan, the final season, part 5, part 3.
I can't wait.
And
I can't wait.
And we already got the cuck scene, and soon we're gonna have, the wonderful bird.
He turned into a bird, Necro. It was the funniest thing I've ever seen. He turned himself into a bird.
That's one thing that's been on my mind since it happened all of the videos and the hashtags. Thank you, Isayama, for 10 years of content. And all I think to myself
the great thing for me is I have not watched Attack on Titan or read it at all. So I get to watch with popcorn from the sidelines, watching everyone lose their mind.
See, you guys
I saw a tweet, Necro. I don't know if you saw this one. It was someone who, 2 years ago, tweeted something like, one ticket for the new Attack on Titan OVA or movie or whatever, and it's like the store clerk is like, you do realize that the ending's gonna be terrible like the manga, right? And then the guy's like, no, listen to me, it's gonna be an anime original ending. They're gonna fix all the problems. It's gonna be fine. This is my only cope. Please trust me. And then it's like, fast forward to now, the guy quote tweets himself and he says, man, I was so wrong. God damn it. And I thought that was great. So there's a lot of that going around with Attack on Titan, which is funny.
And just see, you guys would
Oh,
never know
man.
this because I watched Attack on Titan for a little bit, and up to the
Yeah.
point where I started to see everybody turning into a Titan. I said, "Yeah, I'm out."
Yeah.
But you see, you wouldn't have known that because I didn't make an 8-minute video saying how to fix it. Attack
How
on
to
Titan.
fix Attack on Titan? Just
He really tried to
the
do it.
Titans.
GSP tries it. Just
Yeah,
get rid of the Titans. I want more interpersonal stories. I want people drama and none of that weird fighting. Bash the fash.
Bash the fash, yeah. Oh, but it's actually secretly a fascist manga, Necro. It's all about the fash. It's pro-fash. They want to.
I just hit myself with the worst type of PTSD.
Yeah. It's like
Pedantic romantic PTSD.
Yeah. Yeah. People are weird like that, man. They're so weird. Like
I mean,
that.
I really have dropped out of Attack on Titan for a long time. I get glimpses and rumors and whatnot of what is happening or what happens, and I have other things to watch. There's so much good stuff to watch, good things to read.
Yeah,
we
can watch good things like Fearen and Fearen. We get to watch Fearen. I always pronounce it wrong because I'm terrible.
You have the
we got
German
I
blood.
have to tap into that Dutch heritage to say it properly.
The Germanic heritage, because it's
I
Deutsche.
gotta get. So
you know what? There is something that's been happening. I forgot to tell you.
What's been happening, Necro? What's the haps?
I got a 3DS and I modded it. It's that easy.
Nice.
So I've been playing Pokemon Red, and today I ran into some Pidgeys that were using Sand Attack, and I wish them a very go fuck yourself.
wish them a very nice go die. Yeah.
Yep. God, it's so awful because it's like I already can't hit you with Rock Throw, and you're making it worse. Stop it.
Yeah, stop it. Yeah, I haven't played Pokemon in such a long time.
Don't worry, I'm about to get caught up. I'm about to travel into the present day, not knowing that all of these Pokemon are going to be completely different. Because I stopped right when Ruby and Sapphire were out. Like, I played them, but I was like, I think that's about it for me. But now I have to play Pokemon Black and White 2, Sun and Moon, because I guess you can play Ultra Moon and Ultra Sun because it's the same game. With
but a little bit more stuff in it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I got Pokemon X and Y. I got like games to play for days. And Fire Emblem. I got all the Fire Emblems to play.
Oh, cool. How many did you play? I like Fire Emblem.
I have not played any Fire Emblem except for Fire Emblem Heroes, and I'm like, you know what? I want that to play. And so I am fucking around and finding out real hard. So I started up Fire Emblem Fates, the best one, I guess. Kind of. I don't know. I don't know if it's the best one. People like their listen. As far as I'm concerned, it has to be the best one because Fire Emblem Path of Radiance is $300 for the GameCube, and you're not going to convince me. You're not going to gaslight me into that.
Yeah,
I own that copy, physical. I have Fire Emblem Path of Radiance.
See. I think if you talked to a lot of people, they would probably tell you to start with Awakening. Would probably be the entry point.
Personally, I don't like Awakening that much.
I mean, I liked Awakening. I played a lot of Awakening. I finished Awakening. I haven't finished Fates. I should get back to it because I probably.
My personal recommendation for a first Fire Emblem would be something like a Sacred Stones.
Right.
For the GBA. After that, it would be Three Houses.
Yeah, because you've talked about how you liked Three Houses. You thought it was pretty good.
Yes. Sacred Stones, because it's kind of easy and you can repeat stages, so you have an infinite source of wealth and experience.
Yeah, that was one of the issues I ran into with Fates, was because I didn't have the DLC, and I'm probably going to have to pirate the DLC now because I never got around to buying it, so I'm probably going to have to do some hackery shenanigans on my 3DS to have fun. I mean, you might as well now because it's abandonware, so it's like it doesn't really fucking matter, does it?
Nope, not at all.
but I always had because I was doing the conquest route, and
Yes.
there was I had a lot of problems. Oh, I have I have the special edition Fates with the 3DS. I have the special 3DS of Fates. Or for whatever it was called in Japanese. I have both versions. I have both Conquest and the other one. So I've got both. But I don't think it came with the grind deal, because there was like a DLC that had like grinding stages you could do to get like resources and stuff. I don't think I had that. But I had like all 3 versions, because there was like the 3rd version of the game, like because it was like 3 routes or something. And if you got the one that came with both of them, you got the 3rd one for free as DLC or something like that. So I have those ones. I have all of them. I just didn't get the extra stuff, right? So that's yeah. So I played Conquest, but I ended up running into troubles just because of like resources and messing up and all kinds of stuff. So I have to go back and try it again, but I just didn't.
So I just run through my entire Fire Emblem experience. So I played Fire Emblem, the GBA first in Europe / America. Fun time. Then I never beaten it because I got stuck on the second. Just not the final stage, but the stage before it. I couldn't beat it, so I never got to the final stage. Sacred Stones, good game. Easier, you can repeat stuff. Fun story. Then it was Path of Radiance, I believe. Good first time 3D. Of course the critical hits really suffered first time in 3D. Good story. Radiant Dawn, played it a bit, never finished it, not for any particular reason. It's more of the same as what you had on GameCube. Radiant Dawn is on the Wii. Good game, not its fault, my fault in that sense. Then you had Awakening,
which is the only one that I have hardcore played, because I've finished that one a few times.
And I did not like it.
What was it? Was it because I know a criticism that a lot of older Fire Emblem fans had was the whole the dating sim aspect of it, where you're pairing people up and doing the eugenics, and doing all of that stuff.
I mean, the genetics was kind of silly, I thought.
I think it's kind of silly, but because they went with the whole time travel angle, I think it's fine. I think it's worse in Fates. I think it's way worse in Fates, because with Fates, it's like, oh, you put the kids in like the time bubble, and then they become adult, and I'm like, that's fucking stupid.
Why would you do that to your kids?
Because look, because in terms of like suspension of disbelief, right? I can believe time travel. The kids go back in time to stop the bad future that they're in, right? That's fine. I can believe that as like, because you're in a magical world with dragons and magic and bullshit anyway, right? Like, that's not a problem for me. But just the concept of you have a kid and then you put them in the time bubble dimension thing, and then they age to become like teenagers / adults, so then you can have them fight in your army. That's fucking, like, the implication. Like, can you imagine the implications of that being in a world? Like, because you can go time. Okay, so they time traveled in Awakening, and that's like a big deal because that's like hard. That's hard to do, right?
Nretsew, Dave, we're not. I don't think we're going to discuss anime or manga in particular anymore.
Oh well. I mean, probably this is Fire Emblem talk now.
Now,
Fire Emblem is anime, and
Fire Emblem is anime. Yeah, it works. It works.
There is a manga somewhere, I think.
Yeah. I just want to end my little rant about that, because I feel like there's like, because when we talk about immersion, right? Immersion is a very subjective thing for people. Like, there's certain things that will break some people's suspension of disbelief that will not others. And for me, my suspension of disbelief was broken when they were like, yeah, we just have these dimensions with time dilation in them or something. And it's like, that's fucking, like, because why wouldn't everyone be doing that if you can just do that? And then you could have like an entire army, because then the kids can have kids, and then those kids, like, you would be able to raise an army in like a month of just your entire genetic heritage. You know, and I think
And also,
that
I lied to you. I played other ones. I played Warriors and Three Hopes.
That's
I played the not real Fire Emblem experience.
The not real ones.
Yeah. So I'm going to back. So.
Also, see you later, David, because David's leaving.
Yeah.
It's nice. It's good to see you, dude. It's all good. It's just there's this level. I think I've noticed with Fire Emblem as it's gone on, outside of, because I know if we're talking not about Three Houses, right? I've noticed that when you have stuff like what is it? Echoes? No, not Echoes. Was it the mobile game? You have the mobile game. Yeah, Heroes. You have Heroes, and then you have the latest one, which was, what was that one called? The one with the toothpaste girl. Okay. Engage. I've noticed they've kind of gone into this more hyper fantasy route. I mean, I would call it high fantasy. Remember, we had that whole discussion about high fantasy and low fantasy. I would call it high fantasy route, right? Where it's like really fantasy, like super high magic, you know? Whereas now, like, if you think about like Awakening or whatnot, it was more grounded, I guess. Like, there was magic and there was like dragons and time travel and stuff, but it wasn't like extreme, if that makes sense. But then I feel like as they've kind of gone on, it's gotten a lot more, you know, extreme in what the magic can do, I guess. And I'm not sure how on board I am with that. All right, I'll let you go.
I'll just type. We're talking about Fire Emblem for a prolonged period of time.
Well, I mean, I don't know how much longer we're gonna.
Anyway, well,
go.
I played the Radiant Dawn. I never finished that. Then I played Awakening, and I only got so far when there was a small time skip, and then they went over to the other continent because they got invaded, and they invaded back, basically.
Yeah, counter invasion. Yeah.
Yes. I don't know. Just some niggles and some annoyances got in the way of me enjoying Fire Emblem. And for me, it was already too there was the term waifu-ish.
Yeah.
It was too waifu-ish for me, Awakening. And then, Bloodline and Conquest came out, the 2-in-1.
Yeah, that's Fate. Yeah, that's IF or Fates. Or
Fates. Fates the third or completed version. I thought
they found out that waifus sell, and that's why everything is very waifu occasion. It's the unfortunate side effect of almost every franchise now, or at least in the Japanese realm, is that it has to have wives if you want the wide appeal, unless you're like a dragon, and then it's just I want more Kiryu Kazuma just being pissed. So
I want husbandos.
Husbandos.
I need more bathhouse fighting scenes.
Yeah, Magician of D says he reckons Awakening's support conversations were pretty weak as well. Probably because they're too many to flesh out. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. So and I thought the Awakening story was kind of weak. I don't know. It's been a while since I played it, but anyway, then there was Fates. And I played it a little bit, but it really was the same systems as Awakening. So that turned me off of the game rather quickly.
Yeah.
Of course, nothing. I heard it has a better story, better campaigns, and all that stuff.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing. Like, localization issues aside, the story in IF is actually not too bad from what I know. At least when I played it as well. Like, the Conquest storyline was pretty good. So.
I mean that cutscene with Aqua doing the dance in the theater is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But I never played it because it felt the same as Awakening, and I didn't like Awakening, so why would I play Fates? All that.
That's
Blah, blah.
wild. I didn't see your 8-minute video on it, so
You didn't see Ellie's 8-minute
I
video.
didn't see you wanting to fix it, so
Yeah.
Fake news.
Did you really hate it, Ellie? Did you really hate it?
Oh, do you want me to go make a video of how everything should be different?
Yeah.
Don't make a video like that Cosmonaut guy and the Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Don't be that guy.
Fuck. Yeah, there's so many Xenoblade videos that are like hour-long fucking essays about it's so bad.
Fan service.
Oh god. Yeah. I would see, I hate it because I would love to cover one of those, but just an hour long, like Jesus Christ. Like,
I can't talk about the shit I love for an hour, let alone the shit I hate.
like we get tired out after like 3 hours of streaming, and then we're pretty much fucking done at that point. Like we are now, like we're pretty much done, and we're just shooting the shit. So I can't fucking imagine having to spend an hour, because an hour of that would be like what, like a whole day streaming covering it. Be fucking insane. I mean, I guess you could split it into parts maybe and do like different streams for different parts of what. I don't know. Maybe we'll have to think about it, because one of the big reasons outside of real life stuff getting in the way and all that stuff, one of the bigger reasons we stopped doing the video format was just because so many people keep pumping out these 1 hour long videos. It's the new meta, Necro. The new meta seems to be you pump out like
I need to be absolutely autistic and just, ramble on for an hour about
fans.
I don't know what I don't even know what I like anymore. I hate so many things.
You hate everything. Just something you hate. Yeah, it's like the problem is, it just takes so long to cover those kinds of videos because they're so dense and there's such a pain in the ass.
I think the only thing that I almost broke down crying for some unknown reason was last night. I was scrolling through Twitter, and it was showing off. It's the worst thing you can do on any given night or a day. But it was Omni-Man when they were showing them off for Mortal Kombat 1. And he was doing he's just doing his little sidestep thing, the little dodge, and multiple replies. And it was, oh my god, Omni-Man is he has the Ultra Instinct. And they would post the Goku gif of him just dodging, I think it's the other female Saiyan lady, and then another one said basically, and it was the same thing. And I think what I said was, this is exactly what I said to Jeans. I said, and I quote, "I fucking hate weebs. He's got Ultra Instinct, Goob. All he did was sidestep. Holy shit!" And I said, I almost just cried because I'm so fucking mad. It's like that meme with Cherno in it, and it says, "I'm gonna fuck you up with tears in my eyes and my fist clenched." That was me last night.
I hate things to such a weird degree.
I am not even in the watch together anymore, so I have to. I
rebroke it.
So I'll go in and play it for you.
Never works for me. It's really weird. Only for you.
It's because you don't hit. Okay, hang on. There you go. Don't hit the screen. You have to hit the button. You have to hit the actual pause play button.
Oh, I don't see that. Oh, here, yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
You have. There you go. I've done it. I'll keep it open and I can repeat it if you want. Maybe.
Oh, you know what? I guess this is as good as a platform as any to say that I do have an upcoming announcement. Yes.
Oh boy.
I know. No one knows. Well, I think a couple of people know. Like only a couple. But essentially, I am going to be having an announcement this month. But since it's very low key here and no one's gonna find out unless they DM me directly, the whole announcement is I'm essentially going to be retiring from YouTube in some regard. It's gonna be for
the 50th time, yeah.
This retirement
this one's for real. This one's for real this time.
Yeah, this one's it's a different type of retirement. So instead of talking about what's the word I'm looking for? Regarded individuals, I am going to be talking about VTubers.
Oh,
very based.
Okay. Are you going to be
and not in a negative way?
I was gonna say, you're gonna take the torch from Cringy. You're gonna
Oh no, he has that base covered. He can
Yeah.
have that. I just wanna I wanna tell everyone first and foremost that Phase Connect is a coffee first company, and I will be purchasing all of the coffee.
Gonna review Necro's coffee reviews.
Did I tell you when I went to Offkai, which will happen again, but when I went to Offkai this year, it was very interesting because it's kind of like an introvert convention, essentially. So it's a bunch of introverts that get together to not do anything except for buy VTuber merch. So it's kind of funny. But so when I went there, I got to talk to a lot of the VTubers, so a lot of the corpo ones. So I got to talk to at least 4 or 5 idol EN girls. I got to talk to a few Phase Connect girls, and even when I went to Anime Expo, I got to talk to Rie. And it's so weird because you would think a lot of people want to walk in and just talk to VTubers all day. They really don't. They're scared. They are scared.
They're scared of the virtual woman is scary.
Yeah, I talked to Nova of V Riveri. She's really nice. I got to talk to her about Yu-Gi-Oh and how I'm a boomer and I know nothing about the new systems in place.
You know, the Zumi, the Zumigo, Zumio, Zumies.
Well, I was like, well, the last thing I remember was Synchro Monsters, and that's kind of where I stopped. And she's like, oh yeah, that was like a decade ago, and I'm like, oh, good to know. So and I got to become really good friends with another VTuber. I can't say.
Can't say
but
who it is. Hush hush.
But I did meet up with another VTuber at Anime Expo, and I kind of had this meeting happen with Kawa Entertainment and IN Project, which they're gonna have a debut for new talents tomorrow. Hashtag ad.
I think there was something on Twitter about that. I think I might have saw that.
They're doing like a watch along thing to show their debut, which is nice because I noticed a lot of companies are starting to do that now. But when I was there, I had my MacBook with me, and of course you have to remember, Anime Expo was full of. It was more people this time than there was last year, and there was a lot of fucking people last year. So I was like, okay, well, this VTuber is here. I can just call you on Discord, and then you can chat with them. So I whip out the MacBook, and they're just sitting there chatting, and the owner of Kawa Entertainment, Pidge, she comes up and sees this interaction happening, and then takes Kiki Lockhart, who's the one that I called on Discord, and they fill in a spot for like a meet and greet, like on the TV, where Rie was from Phase Connect. And so if that hadn't happened, then they wouldn't have had the meet and greet that they had, which is just great. But yeah, a lot of people are scared of VTubers to talk to them. When I was talking to Rie, there were people on like the side, and I was like, "Hey guys, you want to talk to Rie? You want to get in here?" And they were just shaking their heads. No, it's okay. And I'm like, come on.
It's like, guys, it's a virtual woman. What are they gonna do to you? Come on, they're not gonna.
Like we're on a screen. Like it's cool.
It's a girl on a screen. It's like, God, dude. Like, come on.
Yeah, and it was fun because she's full of energy, and I even told her, I was like, oh, I really want to see Phase Connect grow. And I think her and I both had that weird like zoning out moment where you go into like your brain and you're just thinking, wow, Phase Connect is full of just girl failures all around. But that's what I like about them, is that they're
yeah, it's a good. Yeah, I like a lot of the Phase girls. I quite enjoy watching them. They're quite fun. Especially, obviously Pippa, but also like a lot of the other ones are also quite fun. So it's it's a good company all around.
Yeah, so when Offkai happened, this is where I was getting to, like, to get to this thing. So when I was at Offkai, I got to see these VTubers and talk to them, and even like the indie ones, you can tell that they genuinely have the want to entertain people and not just stream because it's a quick buck or because they hide behind an avatar. Like, it's just
they got a passion for it. And you kind of need to
Yeah,
have that
and
passion if you want to get into it. Because I mean, if you're going to be streaming for as long as, I mean, we barely do 3 hours, you know, which we're coming up to, but we can go a little longer maybe.
Yeah,
Depends on if Ali's. It depends on if Ali's going to pass out or not, right?
it
You
is
know,
late for me.
It is late for him, but we'll go for a little longer. But like, yeah, like you think about like these VTubers that are going to be streaming for like 8 hours a day or whatever, you know, or something, you know, they're streaming for work hours, you know. 650's
yeah,
heading out. Yep, no, it's all good. 650. We'll catch you later. It's all good.
and you know the funny thing about the VTubers is that whenever you go to like an anime convention now, or at least if it's like a big one and you're here in America, sorry, they hate you guys out there and literally everywhere else.
Yeah,
But no,
yeah.
when because I thought about it and you could kind of just pick it up from context clues, but when Anime Expo was happening, you could tell that the Phase Connect girls were there in person. You could tell that Pam from Play Asia was there. Like VTubers are just walking around incognito.
Yeah, you're never
And
gonna
you just
know, are
never
you?
know.
You're never gonna
Nope.
know.
It's one of those things, but that's why I was like, you know what? Instead of being a negative toxic troll shithead on YouTube and talking about the same 3 people, I'm just gonna talk about VTubers or something. I don't know. And
Yeah,
stream me
yeah.
some video games. Be a VTuber myself.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll figure something out. You know, you got your own talents. You know, you're always entertaining to
That's
do
nice of you to
stuff.
say.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't have any talents.
Gas. We're gonna gas you up. No. But no. I'm
Never
sure.
forget
I mean,
where you came from, who the people were who supported you.
Yeah, don't forget that. Yeah, we gave you a platform, Necro. You got to remember us.
Holy-
You know, when you become big VTube
Oof.
man doing.
That's
the
never gonna
VTubers.
happen. I'm gonna be literally just right where I'm at. People are gonna be like, yeah, that's Necro.
Yeah. Tenma's cool. I gotta get to watching her doing that horror game. I've got that loaded up on my laptop. I gotta start watching that. 'Cause that's pretty good.
Nretsew, did I ever send you that video? The video exists out there if you look hard enough. But Sheena was streaming.
Oh yeah,
when,
you've talked about
Offkai was
this with
happening.
me. Yeah. Off stream, you've talked
Yes.
about this with me. Yeah.
There is a video of Sheena when she was streaming at Offkai, and it exists out there. It's by one of the clippers that specifically does stuff for Sheena. But I'm in that video, and I don't know if she's mistaking me for another Necro, but she seemed like she read the whole name tag that I had on. So there's almost no ambiguity whatsoever. But I have a feeling that some of the VTubers that are, you know, in our little corner of the internet, I think they might know who I am, and maybe
They
are
are
it's the start.
they are aware of the Necro. They know of the Necro lineage.
Well, because even when I was at Anime Expo for the first time, it was like, you know what? I think I've heard your name somewhere, and I'm just thinking to myself, wow, that's awful.
You'd be surprised, you know. You never know. Like the internet is both a very large and very small place at the same time. You know, people. You know, people.
But yeah, that's what I'm retiring the tried and true method of yelling at AniTubers to yell about VTubers instead, because I love them.
Yeah, as we all do.
Especially when they say funny memes that could also be considered racist.
Yeah, most definitely. All right. Yeah, we're pretty much at 3 hours. I reckon it's probably a good time to head off. Let everyone get some rest, get some food, chill out.
Wait a minute, I'm capitalizing on that Necro is here by updating the thumbnail with.
Yeah, you gotta sneak him in. Well, I've been doing the timestamps for the streams, so it's gonna be.
I haven't been keeping up with it.
Yeah, I've been doing those. They're fun to do. I quite like doing them but it takes a while because I have to like scrub the stream and figure out where the timestamps are. We got to get a better system in place for that at some point.
Yeah,
we'll work on it.
But
anyway, it was nice chatting with everyone, including Necro, a surprise guest dropping in to say hi.
I couldn't help it. It was too regarded.
You had to get in. Had to counter the wheelchairs. Wheelchairs. All right, but anyway, we'll catch you guys next time. Have a good rest of your days, fellas. Later.